Right, now we pivot. Today is a lot of information and a lot of energy. So the first thing that I wanted to share with you is that Shanika has shared a survey with you. And I'd really appreciate it if you go to this link. I'm going to put the link in the chat room quickly. I will also put it in the WhatsApp group. So let me just do this quickly. There we are. Oh, no, is that just a picture? Yeah, no, that's come up for you. Okay, so you've all got the link. It's in the chat room. I'll put it in the, maybe Alex, if you could do me a favor and just copy and put it in the, are you seeing the right screen? Just want to double check. But in that survey, I would really appreciate if you go and do it. You know, it's that classic movie where they say, help us, help you. We can't help you if you don't tell us what's working. We can't help you if you don't tell us what you like, what you don't like, how we can add value. The whole intention of the mastermind is to continue to add value. I always say to people, it's not a course, it's a journey. And the only way that a journey can improve is if we get feedback. So please, I'm asking everyone to take the time. We will incentivize, it's called ethical bribery. We are incentivizing that everyone that does the survey will go in a draw. And the draw will be, someone will win a free entry to the Wealth Weekend. So you'll be able to come to the Wealth Weekend for free. So it's ethical bribery to get everyone to fill in the survey. But honestly, if you've joined the mastermind, you've invested your money and your time, you know, you might as well take the time. It won't take long, take you 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I don't know. I don't know exactly how long it'll take. To fill it in and to tell us what's working, what's not working. I will put up a little poll like I do every time today for those of you that are not going to do it, so at least we can try to get the information out of you, but I would really appreciate the feedback. The second thing, which I wanted to share with you, is the calendar. Okay, so, and I'm going to play this video for you right now, because I know everyone is too busy, so we're going to take the time right now to watch it. And that is this video here. It's in the resources. And I literally play this for almost all of the people that I do the one-to-one session with. And it's this getting things done. And why am I playing this? Because there's no better time than right now to plan 2026. And this whole session is around 10Xing. And how are we going to 10X? Well, 10Xing is a change in mindset, but it's also a change in how we do things and planning. And so how are we going to start off to have a successful year is by setting ourselves up for success. And so this is a 4-minute video. I'm sure you've seen it before, but do me a favor, watch it and listen to the principles, because the whole 10X process that we're going to go through today, every single thing about it is focusing on the big rocks, which is why this is such a, yeah?
Sorry, Scott, just swap screens.
Oh, have I done the wrong one again? Thanks, Alex. The whole 10X principle is about these big rocks. So just enjoy this. It's 4 minutes long.
Your name is?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. You have a work life?
I do.
Family life as well?
Mm-hmm.
Children?
Not yet.
Not yet. What's the nature of your work assignment?
I direct an international firm.
An international firm? Mm-hmm. So you really are interfacing with all kinds of people in the firm and outside the firm.
That's right.
You want a rich personal life and a rich family life. Do you ever feel like you get bogged down in the thick of thin things?
Yes.
Well, that might be analogous to all these little, small things that tend to fill our life. And that just little by little, they just accumulate. Now, your job, you can't go above this, is to get all those large rocks in the jar. Good luck. What's that one called?
Q2, planning, preparation.
Right. Planning, preparation, prevention, and empowerment. Mm-hmm. Okay, the next rock she's putting in there is called relationships and family. We didn't look at that third rock you put in there. That's employment, some key employment issue, and then you put major projects here. I can't get it above there.
I haven't worked it yet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. That's called Service Community Church. Do you ever feel like this?
Yes.
How many feel like this? By moving the little things around, you might squeeze in one more of those big major things. It's almost. Wow, that is good. You know, if it doesn't fit, force it. Here's something that's called urgent and important. It's a quadrant 1 thing that is blindsiding you, that it's your biggest client, that if you don't get back to that client now, you've given up your vacation. And you have no special block of time just for yourself. I'll tell you what you can do if you want to.
What's that?
You can take a whole different approach. You have a totally fresh bowl. You can work out of a different paradigm altogether.
Well, then I'd rather put these in the bottom and then pour the little pebbles on top.
Employment,
Big opportunity,
big opportunity.
important and urgent, block of time. Those young children keep looking at me. Glad my husband's not here. No, I dump these in there.
Okay? That's great.
So do me a favor, just type in the chat box. I'm sure you've all seen that before. I'm sure you've all heard about it. Just type in the chat box if that landed. Just type landed if it landed. And the reason I'm doing this is that you hear me say this all the time, repetition is the mother of skill. And, and I want to share with you some stuff that's important for me. So I talk a lot about AI, I talk a lot about technology. I know people have all these fancy stuff. But one of the things I do is I take a piece of paper and I have every month printed out here from now until January 2027. Because what I do on at this time of the year is I go and plan the entire year. And why I showed you the big rock thing is because the important thing is to go and figure out what are your big rocks in your life. What is important to you? Your family, your children, your work, your health. For me, watching Springbok rugby, et cetera, et cetera. And I go and I don't use a fancy Google sheet or anything. I literally put it on a piece of paper because this becomes my template. If there's something that is non-negotiable to me, then it goes on this piece of paper. Now, I want to give you an example of this. Last week or 2 weeks ago, my son got invited to speak at a school thing. And Paul O'Mahony got hold of me out of the blue and said, hey, well, it wasn't quite out of the blue because I was going to Ireland, I was going to watch the rugby. And I knew I was going to speak in London. And I was like, what day can I speak? And he said, you can speak on Wednesday. And I said, I can't speak on Wednesday because I have to be home by Friday because John T is presenting. Now, if I didn't have a big rock schedule, I would have spoken on Friday, I would have missed his speech, and I would have been like most other people in the world, which is just, oh, well, tough, I missed it. The difference was because I had my big rocks, I knew exactly when John T was speaking. I then told them, well, I can't speak Wednesday, I can only speak Monday, Tuesday, take your pick. I spoke Tuesday, flew home Wednesday, managed to speak at Paul's event, watch the rugby on the weekend, speak at Paul's event, and be at John T's thing. And I'm just telling you this because this is important. So why is that relate through in terms of where we're at? Well, if we go now to your calendar, you've all invested in this mastermind. And one of the things that frustrates me, and I'm not going to lie, it does frustrate me, is that people tell me, but Scott, I can't make either a session, be it a monthly session, or I can't make a wealth weekend because something happened. And what I don't understand is that if you truly care about what you've invested in, and by the way, anything that you invest in, whether it's your health, whether it's relationships, whether it's money, I don't care what it is. If you don't put time into it, it will not work. And so for me, a mastermind, and I won't mention the name, but I was part of a mastermind for 10 years. And the reason I left the mastermind was because they kept chopping and changing. The dates were never available. It was a nightmare. And I could never run my own life. And I was paying a lot of money. I was paying $25,000 a year to be part of this mastermind. And so when we started this mastermind, I said, I will not do that. Now, sometimes every now and again, a date might change, whatever, a speaker has to move it or something, but I always endeavor to give you at least a month's notice. But with a more than 90% accuracy, you can take this calendar and you can literally go and plan your entire year through to 2027 with regards to this mastermind. You've got every single day here in the mastermind. You've got the rhythm as to how we do it. You've got step 7, you've got step 8, and you've got the fireside chats in the evening. They're all here. And obviously these will all be populated into the school calendar, but I just wanted to share this with you. Alex, are you letting people in, or do I need to make you, Alex, I'm just going to make you co-host because I see Shanika's left.
Cool.
Okay, you're co-host as well. If you can just let people in so I don't have to focus on letting them in. Thanks. You'll notice there's some dates, because I always aim for the middle Wednesday of every month. But here's a classic example. On the 14th of January, on the 14th of January is when I dropped John Till at boarding school. So that's why that week is 1 week later. On the 9th of September, it's a week earlier because we're going to be on the Investor Summit. In October, it's a week later because we've got the Wealth Weekend. So you'll see that there's logic to all of this. Some of it's personal. That's how the world works. You create the life that you want to create. So that's the rhythm for that. Any questions? Do me a favor quickly. Any questions from anyone? I will put this obviously into school. I will put this into WhatsApp. It will be emailed to you, printed out, tattooed on your forehead. I don't mind. But the point is the dates are here, and with a 90% plus probability won't change. Other than the only thing that might change, which I can't control, is time zones. If we get speakers in America, most of them are not going to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. That I can promise you. I do try, but I'm not going to get them. Then in terms of dates that are currently confirmed, we've got the Know Your Numbers, and we've only planned till April in terms of the Know Your Numbers, but we've got 2 sessions, one in January, the 17th and 18th, so it's Saturday, Sunday, and one in April, the 18th and 19th. Okay, so you've got the dates. You've then got the Wealth Weekend, which is the 18th to the 22nd of March. Okay, and just please notice that the second Wealth Weekend is the 14th to the 18th of March. I know I originally said the 7th to the 11th, but again, I made a mistake. I'm getting used to reading my son's boarding school calendar, and I misread when his long weekend was. And that Wealth Weekend was right slap bang in the middle of my son's Wealth Weekend, which is not happening. I only see the guy every 6 weeks. So when he's on long weekend, I am not having a Wealth Weekend. So I managed to get everyone, Garth and everyone, to move it. So those are the 2 dates. And I'm going to talk more about this personal growth and self-exploration journey. But that is, it's going to be 3 days straight after the Wealth Weekend in March. And if there's a big uptake for it, we'll do it again in October. I'll talk more to that just now. But anyway, the dates are all in the diary and booked. Then we got the signature event, which is where you come with Robert Kiyosaki and myself and 130 other incredible investors. Again, I'm going to talk more about this just now. But I would strongly recommend for those people that have been to a couple of Wealth Weekends and want to have an amazing adventure mixed between fun and knowledge. This was my highlight of the whole year by a long way. So I would strongly recommend you join me for that. And then for those, if you're keen, I want to do a buyer's trip. So I will then go to America. I'll go and see all our suppliers. I'll go and look at opportunities. If you want to come and do a buyer's trip with me, we're already there. I mean, half the expense of getting to America is the flights there. And then finally, I'm going to talk more about this, but we've got an AI event coming up in terms of. So any questions, please just type me quickly in terms of Jeff. It'll all be in school. Both the PDF will be in school plus so let's just go to school quickly. So where this will be in school is I will put this in I'm going to put it in a few places. I'm going to put it in Get Set Up. I'm also going to put it in resources. Okay. In terms of just so that people have it, so that it's, the annual calendar. And then obviously all the events will be put into the calendar. So Shanika will kindly go and put it all into the calendar for you. Okay. Any questions around the calendar, please, quickly so far? This is part of the 10X principle, quite frankly, in terms of, okay, let's rock and roll. The next thing is the know your numbers. So I've told you already, hopefully, as part of the mastermind, you've already got access to Anthony and the family office and everything else. But I do think that people are getting a huge amount of value. Actually, sorry, let me do that quickly. That's a great idea. I will put the calendar straight into the chat room right now, so everyone's got it. Okay, there are. It's in the chat room, and I'll also put it into the WhatsApp group. Okay. Then in terms of the Wealth Weekends, again, these are, one of the highlights. I think as a mastermind member, I honestly believe these should be compulsory. You should do at least one of these in terms of building trust. So, I mean, there's lots of different pictures and what we do. This is a picture literally from my boat that we took in this year. And why do you come? Well, it's immersion with the family office. So it's actually coming and meeting the Calio team, meeting Garth, meeting Anthony, meeting Bianca, meeting Karen face-to-face. It's next level peer-to-peer learning and strategy. It's like-minded people. There's nothing better than being in a face-to-face environment. It's global perspectives, local advantages. We do a whole day on emotional and psychological wealth. So, it's all about the psychology and the belief systems and understanding the Enneagram. It's tangible outcomes. It's exclusive by invite only, so we keep it small. And it's where luxury meets the legacy. So we have fun in the process, in terms of that process. And then the most important reason is that it's about trust. So yes, Mike, thank you, Jane. Know Your Numbers is a 2-day process. So it's all about the investor language. It's everything you need to know to get set up as an investor. It's the investor language. It's knowing your numbers. It's understanding Anthony and models. It's building plans. It's everything you need to do to know your numbers in terms of that process. Back to the Wealth Weekend. This is half learning, half having fun. So we learn, we have lots of fun. It's with like-minded people, the family office, our team, all physically there. And it's an amazing, amazing experience. And I can categorically tell you, there's a fundamental difference between people who've been on the Wealth Weekend and those that haven't. So next year, the 2 dates are March and October. You should have both of them in terms of that process. And and you've got them all in the calendar. Then something I do every single year, I've done it for a long time. I don't know how long I've done it for, but in 2023, I bring out the 23 lessons I've learned for 2023. In 2024, it was the 24 lessons for 2024. In 2025, it will be the 25 lessons. Every year, I get 1 year older, I have to learn one extra lesson. So I'll bring this out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I always get a hugely positive response from it. So I would recommend watching it in terms of that process. But it'll be, I'll just share it with you. And then something that's quite interesting to talk about and slightly difficult for me to talk about. Last year when I did my lesson, I spoke a lot about my healing journey. And in the last 2 years, I've been on an incredible healing journey. I've done personal development for the best part of 28 years or more, certainly. And I've done everything. You literally name it, I've done it. I've done everything from Tony Robbins to Deepak Chakra, to John DeMartini, to every psychologist. I've had a psychologist since I was 22. I've done ayahuasca, I've done San Pedro, I've done mushrooms. You literally, there's nothing, virtually nothing in the personal development space I have not tried. And I don't tell you that to brag, I tell you that because I love personal development. But in the last 2 years, I met a man in Sedgefield, which is very close to Knysna. It's 20 kilometers from Knysna. And he does these mushroom journeys. And I learned about it first in 2015 when I was at the Exponential Conference. It's called A360, which was in Los Angeles. Peter Diamandis runs it. And I mean, I was never into this stuff. I would have considered all of this the woo-woo world. And yet in 2015, they said it's the single best way to deal with trauma or to deal with addiction. Now, I had someone close to me, my ex-sister-in-law, who was in addiction at the time. And so I started looking into it more. And the more I looked into it, the more I actually was like, wow, this is really interesting. Then I read a book called Happy Days. And Happy Days was all about actually, if you want to get to happiness, you truly have to deal with your trauma. And if you want to live an incredibly happy and fulfilled life, you've got to deal with your trauma from your childhood. And by the way, we all have trauma from our childhood. Now, some of you are going to sit here and say, Scott, this is a mastermind. It's about money. What the hell are you talking about? You'll be surprised how often I do one-to-ones and people are wanting to take their life to the next level. What is 10Xing? 10Xing is taking your life to the next level. And it's not only about money, and it's not only about investing, because wealth to me is everything. And it's living an extraordinary life. And living an extraordinary life is all facets and parts of your life. And so I reached out to David, and I went on these journeys last year, and I did 12 journeys. I did them on my own. I did them every month, and it was extremely difficult. I'm not going to mince my words. It was extremely difficult. But I went into the cave. There's a saying I love, which is that the cave you fear, the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear. The treasure you seek is in the cave you fear. Now, I'd spent my whole life avoiding this cave, trying my feelings and myself and spending time with myself, spent my whole life running away from it. I worked hard. I was a workaholic. I probably drank too much. I definitely did comfort food. I did whatever it took to stay away from that until I met David. And he created a safe space for me to go in there and to deal with it. And the personal growth and the personal development that I've had since last year has been phenomenal. And so there's two parts to this. One is I did the healing journey last year, and obviously none of us are ever healed. We're always growing. But last year was profound. I did more in 1 year than I've done in any other personal development anywhere else in the world. I don't care what you want to talk. I literally speak from personal experience. Then in August last year, I did the whole thing, which all of you have access to with the Enneagram with Karen and Bianca. And that was in August last year. And my life has literally taken off like a rocket ship since September last year. Again, do I tell you this to boast? No, I don't. But as part of this mastermind, I want everyone to live extraordinary. And so I've spoken to David, and I've agreed with him that we're going to do a follow-up after the Wealth Weekend. So for those of you who just want to come and do money and investment and everything to do with the Wealth Weekend, then do that. You come from Wednesday, you leave on Sunday. For those of you who want to take your life to the next level and you want to do investment, money, wealth, the family office, well, you do that Wednesday to Sunday, including having lots of fun. And then you want to do personal development, we're going to do that the second half of Sunday, because everyone goes home Sunday morning. We're going to do it Sunday afternoon, Monday, Tuesday. Okay. So it's there. You'll need to, if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to me. I'm the only one. I'll brief Alex on it as well in terms of that process. And then finally, the Investor Summit. I told you already, I got invited by Robert Kiyosaki. There are 130 people. I mean, just to give you an example of the speakers who were there, because there were some phenomenal speakers. You had this guy, Peter Schiff. I mean, he literally called the crash in 2008. Absolutely amazing, amazing man. You had this guy, Mike Maloney, that I'm hoping getting to speak for us next year on gold and silver. He's literally the grandfather of gold and silver. You had this guy who I'm also trying to get to speak, Steve Streetman, which is all around cryptocurrency and real estate. So they've just got the most incredible speakers. And I virtually guarantee you're not going to get it anywhere else in terms of going to one place. You're with 130 other people, like-minded investors. You're on a boat. You sail to the Bahamas. So you're having awesome experiences. You're learning. I think I'm pretty intelligent when it comes to investing. I, again, don't want to be arrogant, but I've spent quite a long time in the space, and I was really grappling. Like it was a lot of stuff. It was really, really valuable, but it really was at the next level that I haven't experienced before. So if you want to play at the next level, if you want to go and play with the best in the world, then truly and have lots of fun in the process, then my request to you is join me. I've only managed to get 5 spots, although we currently have 7 people that are keen. I'm sure that I'll be able to get a few extra ones if people come. But there's me sitting, last year, and I'm hoping that I'll have a few of you sitting next to me. And then the final 2 things that I wanted to share was if there's demand, because we had a fun buyer's trip in England this year, which was a bit impromptu, but I'd quite like to start doing buyer's trips again. So where we go as a group because I don't really want to go to Heathrow and do a presentation, and I don't want to go to anywhere else in the world and sit in an airport and do a presentation. I'd much rather do it from my studio here. But when we do get on an airplane, I want to do experiences. So if there's a demand to go and get on the ground and to meet developers, as an example, in London, I've got a guy called Ben. He's never going to come and present here. He hates presenting, but he's worth £500 million cash. He's third generation property. He knows more about London property than anyone I've ever met. And I've walked the streets of London with him, and he's shown me all the stuff. We'd spend time on the ground with Ben. We'd go spend time on the ground with Gary Sachs. With planning, I could have these people. In America, we would go to 3, possibly 4 cities. We would go get on the ground with the data center guys. We'd get on the ground with the industrial property guys, the medtail guys, the self-storage guys. I'd love to go to the self-storage guys. So if you want to come with me, then let me know and we'll arrange dates around. But I would love to do 2 trips next year, one to America, one to England, where people can come and get on the ground, meet the partners. And again, it's also social with like-minded people. Some of my best clients, colleagues, friends, communities, shareholders have come through buyers trips. And then finally, the big reveal. So something I've been working on a lot, and a couple of other people have been doing this, but I've been doing a course with Tony Robbins, and you'll see here that I've built my own clone. So in this clone, I have now built, it's got all of my personal DNA, it's got my business DNA, it's got all my writing DNA. You can now go and you can build and generate prompts. So this is all for me, just for Scott Pickett, no other human on the planet. And you can go and build all your different prompts, like what are the best prompts that you could use. You've got here, like what are the best book recommendations for my goals, not for your goals, for my goals. What do I need to hear in my life? What should I be focusing on? What's my 90-day life advice? CIA report, that's obviously American. They love their bloody CIA. Gap analysis, like a gap in my life and what should I be focusing on, et cetera, et cetera. Now, by doing this, I've been playing around and I've gone, because I've been thinking about this for a while. What about if we could bring everything together? What about if you bring all the family office planning that you've got from Calio, all the models, all the planning, your personalized investment strategy? You've got your wealth Enneagram, your wealth EQ. So that's your personalized who you are as an investor. Now you've got your clone. You bring everything together and you put it together and you create a twin, your wealth twin. It's the first look at AI and how it's going to transform and build wealth forever. So early next year, I'm going to be unveiling something that I've been building quietly for a couple of months. A breakthrough that's going to bring personalized wealth strategy, behavioral intelligence, and AI guidance together in one integrated system. This pioneering technology is designed to change the way you plan, invest, make decisions, and create financial freedom for the rest of your life. It adapts to your wealth DNA. It understands your behavior, guides your investment path, and supports your journey to long-term wealth creation and legacy. So my business coach, Cherie, has been pushing me for a while. I didn't realize that I use AI to the level I use AI for. I use it for everything. It's got everything programmed. It's got all of my books, everything I've ever written. And right now, Yaku's uploading over 2,000 of my video transcripts. Everything about me is in AI. And the more you put into it, the more it can support you in terms of making the right decisions. And she's been pushing me for ages to teach other people how to do this. So we'll be doing this. Yaku actually arrives on Saturday here. And I'm going to be spending time with him in this week, starting to plan this out. I know Alex is also big in AI in terms of this process. So for the mastermind people, you guys will get first access to this. It'll probably be, I don't know, it'll be coming out early next year in terms of that process. So I'm interested to know whether people want to participate in this. And then finally tonight, we have the mastermind fireside chat. And tonight's a little bit different. It's a fun one. So it's in whatever time zone you're in, it's in 10 hours time, and bring a drink, come and have a bit of a, proverbial Christmas party. I don't know if you've noticed, you've got to love AI. This picture is slightly changed. It's the same picture, but everyone's wearing Christmas hats. You've got to admit, AI is so amazing. So anyway, so that's everything for that. As usual, I'm going to put up a poll. So I would appreciate if people fill in the poll. So let's just launch the poll quickly. And you should all have the poll. Wow, there's a lot of people coming and going. It's a bit like a train station today. Okay, so who would like to get into some 10X? What I've shared with you already for me is a principle of 10x. So I want to just really kind of get you really fired up. And the reason that I shared some of the stuff that I've just spoken about, the courses and the different things, is because I actually fundamentally believe this is all about 10x. Okay, and why do I say that? Well, my takeaway from 10x is it's a way of thinking. It's a way of behaving. It's a way of planning. It's a way of making decisions. And to be 10x is to fundamentally shift who you are. Now that's difficult to do, because if you're going to like keep doing what you've always done, you know, that Einstein theory, so you keep doing what you've always done and try and expect different results, then it's the definition of insanity. And by the way, I'll let you know a little secret. That's me. Like I go out and I read all these books. You can see here behind me, I've got thousands and thousands of books. And I go out and read all these books, but I don't actually shift as a human. And so in business, in my love life, in relationships, you know, whatever, like I go and read all the books and I do all the courses and I want stuff to shift, but I don't actually shift. And it's only when the shift happens that the change is going to happen. And so why I shared what I've shared already is because a number of the building blocks that I've already shared with you, I fundamentally believe are part of 10xing. I am truly 10xing at the moment. Like, and I don't want to come across bragging or whatever, but my life is exponentially taking off from where it was even in 2024. And when I consider the growth trend from 2024 to 2025, I am so excited about 2026. And so that's why I share with you things like the personal development stuff that I've done, because I'm tired of keeping it a secret. And some people might sit here and say, but Scott, you woo-woo and you're telling us stuff that, you know, blah, blah. I actually don't give a shit anymore, because I'm going to tell people what I think works because I know it's worked for me. And whether you want to do it or don't want to do it, I don't mind. Judge me, don't judge me. I don't care. So back to the 10x principle, what I want to share with you is some of the fundamental things that I think are some of the takeaways. And why I shared some of the important stuff right now is because it's the psychology shift that we need, because we need that psychology shift from here to here. So 10x is easier than 2x. Here's the book. I would strongly recommend that you read this book, because it's not just about investing. It's in life, it's in business, and it's in wealth. And as you head into 2026, I don't think there's a better time of the entire year to actually do this, because everything I've spoken about, your planning, taking out your calendar, going and having a great holiday, what are your goals for next year, everything. If you apply the 10x mindset, it's going to fundamentally shift things in terms of your year next year. So I do remind everyone, oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong slide. I thought that was a weird slide. I need to open up my 10x presentation. Okay, let's rock and roll with the 10x presentation. So let's start with this one. And I want to start with a story. And at the end of the day, you are only as good as the 5 people that you hang around with. This is Jim Rohn. So back to kind of 10x thinking. I was invited by Paul O'Mahony to come to Botswana. And what was really interesting is that when he first gave me the price, it was about $15,000 to $20,000 to go to Botswana. And I was like, there's no ways I'm going to Botswana. I'm not even that interested to go to Botswana. You know, but I'd love to go and spend time with you, Paul, and Robin Banks was going, and Mike Elliston. And I was like, I'd love to go, but there's no ways I'm spending $15,000 to $20,000. And my mindset was quite interesting, because Paul immediately said to me, but Scott, why don't you just figure out a way to make an extra $15,000 to $20,000? And I was like, well, how would I do that? And him and I were actually talking on the phone. He was like, well, you could just do this, this, and this. And it was amazing how his mindset's different, because I was like, well, I'm not spending that sort of money, or I don't have that sort of money, whatever mindset you want to use to find a way. And so for me, when we start to unpack 10x, I want to help you see something clearly. 10x doesn't happen from motivation. It happens from structure. It's going to happen by having the right guide, the right financial insight, and the right family integration. Because as we go through this, you're going to notice how it's about support. And for me, that story with Paul is all about support. Because as you go into 2026, your growth is going to require a new level of support in terms of this whole process. And when I come back to the 5 people that you hang around with, albeit I found a cheaper way to get to Botswana, which is, by the way, you should always be resourceful. So I got it for a lot less than 15. But it still cost a lot of money. But the difference is I found a way and I went. But it was only because Paul inspired me to do it. And since then, I literally, things have taken off. You know, these are the pictures of us where I spent 5 days with Paul O'Mahony, with Robin Banks, with Mike Elliston, and with Anthony, actually. And 2 things happened on that trip. One was, Paul said, Scott, you need to read this book called 10X. And the second thing that happened, and I wish I had a picture of it, but you can see Anthony's here. Where's Anthony? There's Anthony. So these are pictures of us in Botswana. These are the animals, by the way. It's amazing. But Anthony was raising a book where Measure What Matters. And it's all by Google. And I read that book back in 2015. And that book's all about implementing systems. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you want me to, they're called OKRs. Okay, and it's the way Google was built. It's an operating system to run a business in a successful way. And I said, Anthony, that's one of the greatest books I've read, but I've never been able to implement it. I said, it's a great book, but there's always massive resistance. And I said to him, we were literally on the runway in Botswana somewhere. I don't know which runway it was on. And I said, there's only one man in the world that I know that does this. The best in the world I know. His name is Jaco Maritz. So fast forward, and I start reading this book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. And I started listening to it. And the core message was that 2X is linear. It's incremental. It's past repeating your identity. It's the same person over here. It's over and over again. And it's people just being busy and frustrated and anxious and not getting stuff done. And 10X is a whole new identity that requires letting go of 80% of stuff that's taking your energy. And I'm going to talk a lot about who, not how, just now. But for me, a good example of who, not how was coming back to that story with Anthony and Jaco. I was driving to Cape Town listening to the book, and it was talking about who, not how. And I was like, how do I implement an operating system in the business? I know I need this. I know we need OKRs. I was like, how do I find this person? How do I do this? But the book fundamentally shifted my thinking. It was like, no, I don't have to do it. I'm never going to do it. I don't like detail. I don't like admin. But who's the best in the world? Jaco. I phoned Jaco on the road to Cape Town. So, dude, what would it take to get you back involved, even part-time? And within 1 week, we'd done a deal. And Jaco's been back since, I don't know when it was, the end of September. The difference he's made in the business in the last 2 months, ask Alex, ask Shanika, ask anyone, has been incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that's who, not how. Okay. So when it comes to investing, if you're over here, which is this 2X investing, you know, you've got local bias, you've got asset concentration, you're chasing returns, you've got scattered decisions. But if you're over here as an investor on the 10X, you've got global diversification, exponential trends, partner leverage, and systems, not hustle. You've got high quality deal flow and high quality partners in terms of the process. So why do most people fail? It's not because they don't have the opportunities. They fail because they try and take yesterday, they're thinking over here, this old mindset stuff, and they try to take it into tomorrow. And for me, this session isn't about inspiration. It's about designing your life to live and invest so that you operate like a 10X identity. And we forget those 2X habits. Is that fair? Let's look at what I just said there, because I want you to possibly take a screenshot of this. Most people believe that exponential growth requires exponential effort, but the truth is opposite. 10X is not about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it at a far higher level. It requires a shift in identity, thinking, environment, and leveraging structures. Where 2X thinking tries to improve the past, 10X thinking creates a new future. And because 10X thinking forces clarity, focus, and leverage, it often becomes easier than 2x because you stop carrying the weight of everything that doesn't matter. These are the 10 principles that underline 10x transformation in business, investing, and life. So I've got 3 pictures here, and I'm going to share all 3 pictures with you that I found. So the first, I quite like these, I don't know what you want to call them, infographics or cartoons, whatever you want to call it, which is all about kind of 10x. And there's a whole bunch of things here that are very relevant, basically. But right up the top here, if you want to do this 10x thing, you have to commit. So you have to say, right, I'm doing this 10x thing. You have to have the courage. It's scary. And then you're going to get the capability and the confidence. I've taught this before in terms of belief. You've got this whole 20-80, which I'm going to explain more. But in simple terms, you focus on the 20% that's getting you the 80% of your results, and you get rid of all the 80%. What's important over here is there was some other stuff. Oh yes, I love this. I've been told my whole life, Scott, you can't have what you want. I told my mother I want a helicopter. She goes, yeah, helicopter. Think about all the dying children in Africa and how much they could spend on, with your helicopter, how much they could eat with your helicopter. Like literally, I'm not joking. That's a true story. And this book's like, no, you can have what you want. One of the things that I found when I went to spend time with Richard Branson, I realized you can have everything you want. Because I was always told you can't have everything you want. You can't have a great business and be happily married and have great kids. And it's bullshit. Because I literally spent time with Richard Branson and he has everything. He has a happy wife, a beautiful relationship. He has 2 great kids. He's built 400 businesses, 8 of them $1 billion businesses. He lives on a private island. He has incredible mates all over the world. He does incredible contributions to the world from a philanthropic point of view. He has amazing fun. Like, what else do you want to do in the world? Like, seriously, what else is living? In terms of the process. So one of the things I love for the book is you can want what you want. Like, give yourself permission to want what you want and then go out there and create it. And this is that whole dream process in terms of your, getting your wants, etc. And then down here is the gap and the gain. And by the way, they've written an entire book, another book on the gap and the gain. I haven't read it yet. But the biggest problem is that most people, why they're frustrated, is they're living in the gap. Because they're over here in 2x. They want to get these big results over here in 10x, but they're actually stuck in the gap because they're playing like a 2x. They're thinking like a 2x. They have goals of a 10x, but they're making no progress. And the only way to do it is to get in the gain, like to literally physically step into the 10x, to behave like a 10x, to think like a 10x, to make decisions like a 10x, and to shed the 2x completely. And that's when you get the gain in terms of the process. And there's a whole bunch of things there which are really relevant, which comes on to the next one, which are some of the important principles. So something that, again, I have been very weak at is I've worked harder than almost anyone I know. My strategy at school was to work harder than anyone. I wasn't the brightest, but I'd always outwork you. I cum laude my honors degree. I cum laude my master's degree. I got academic honors at school, and I wasn't smart. I just worked harder than everyone else. On the rugby pitch, I wasn't the most talented, but I was always the most fittest. I was always the fittest. And so when I got to business, it was the same thing. I'll just outwork you. But what's interesting is you read this book, and it's not about doing more, it's about doing less. It's like, Scott Pickens, slow down. Like, take more time out. And by the way, I've actually done this quite successfully over the last 2 or 3 years. If you look at the calendar, my wish for all of you is that you do it more in 2026. I'm certainly going to do it. I'm going to work less, not more. Because what it talks about here is this whole recovery days, operational days, and 10x days. And there's a whole principle around how to do this. Now, in terms of the time that we got today, and to be honest, I can really see I'm going to run out of time today because I could talk about this for all day, quite frankly, and maybe I should. But the point being is that they break their time into 3 different things. The one is rest days, okay, or recovery days, where there's no work. It's time for personal development, recharging, and family. Now, I've been quite good at this. If you go to my calendar here, when I teach all of you this, that's what I mean by creating a perfect week. It's why I showed you the big rocks, because I can show you here, if you want to go to to let's just go to August. Okay, so someone phones me up and they say, "Hey Scott, can you present in August?" Okay, well, can I go anywhere in August? Okay, well, I can tell you when John T's on holiday. When there's yellow, John T's on holiday. So no, I probably can't present in August. I can if you want to go watch rugby in Johannesburg at Ellis Park between South and the Springboks. I can't tell you I'll be there because John T will be on holiday and I'll be watching that rugby game with him. It's just an example of what I'm talking about. If you go to admin and meetings, you know, in operational days, allocating your time to that. So one of the things that I try and do with the team is that I only do that on a Monday. I don't like it. Like that stuff, it's energetically not strong for me. So I try and do it all on a Monday. I get it done. And then I have an overlap for a Thursday. But I try and not allow it on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Friday. You'll notice whenever we do mastermind sessions, they're on a Wednesday. Whenever you do coaching sessions with me, they're on Tuesday or Wednesday, ideally. Sometimes they're on a Thursday because I use this overlap period. We're starting to see how these principles can be implemented. And then finally, your 10X days. Now, by the way, I don't have enough of this. This is where you drop 80 to 90% of your tasks and you only focus on high impact activities. So if I go back to my calendar, that's what Friday is all about. Because Friday is about creating stuff. It's about me really being in my essence. This is when I create like the AI stuff, all the videos, the training, coming up with masterminds, all of that stuff. It all happens in these creation days. But look at my time. It's not enough. So it has to change. Right. What about acceleration for change? So I found this graph really interesting. So if you look down the bottom here, you got futile, and then you can see there's a kind of a thing in the middle here. You got catalyzing, as in it's getting better, and then you got transformative. So on the left-hand side, if stuff's not working, it goes from futile to regression to deforming. So it gets worse and worse and worse. That's called the degree of leverage. And you can see the acceleration of change here, which basically means you're accelerating. Like in this quadrant here, it's getting a lot worse. But in this quadrant, it's getting a lot better because you've got acceleration for change is increasing and your degree of leverage. So the question is, how can you leverage? And one of the biggest things with this book is who, not how. You leverage by partnerships and people and the support that you get. So you can sit here in futile, or you can move to progression, or you can move to reforming. And this is where you're in the transformative stage. And my wish for all of you is to be in this transformative stage. Okay, this is what our 12K club is all about. It's about transformation. Okay, you've got transactional, which is our 6K club, which is here in the orange. Because transactional, you want to get results. And transformational is our 12K club. That's why it's designed. That's how it is. So what I'm going to take you through is what are the 10 major principles of 10X and how do we actually implement them? Okay, and I'm going to share with you all the documentation for this. So you can see here that you're looking for a 10X transformation. What do you need? You need focus, clarity, leverage, simplification, and an identity shift. I'm going to take you through these 10 principles: identity, subtraction, clarity, letting go, leverage, transformation, environment, simplicity and focus, better questions, and designing your future. And if you do all of this, you're going to get exponential results. Who's interested so far? Anyone bored? So by the way, from an energy perspective, I had 5 hours sleep on Monday night and about 5 hours sleep last night, preparing for this presentation and for my shareholder presentation at 6 p.m. Because this is a lot of work. I had to build all of this from scratch. Now, just before we go, there's one last thing I want to share with you before I get into it. And again, I want to repeat what I've already said today. I love what Ann Wilson says, and that is that most people are like octopuses on roller skates. So the challenge is that most of you, and I'm not pointing a finger straight at you, I'm just pointing a finger at overall generalization, are going to listen to me, you're going to read the book, and you're not going to implement. Am I right or wrong? Anyone? Is anyone else, I know none of you are guilty of this, but is anyone else guilty like me? Has anyone else gone out and read? Just by the way, this bookcase that I've got behind you, this is just one of about 5. I've literally got books all over the place in this house. But if I'm honest with myself, if I've implemented even 2% of these books, I'd be lying. Until it came in 2010. And in 2010, I shared with you this. And I've shared this before, and I want to share it again because it is so important. In 2010, I went to that Tony Robbins event, and he said there's 3 types of people. He said there's the people, the first one's the dabbler. So they go and they want to learn something new. And let's just, because we're in the investment space, let's just talk investing. So they go do a crypto course, and they get good growth quite quickly. But the moment it gets hard, they drop off. So they're like, crypto's not for me. Tell you what, I'm going to go to one of those day trading courses. So then they start doing day trading, and they get a bit of growth, and then it gets hard. It's called the ceiling of complexity. And they drop off. Boom, they're gone. And then they go like, oh, maybe I should come to Scott's course. Maybe I'll do a property course. And they get a bit of growth, and then they fall off. And then they're like, no, bugger that property thing. I'll tell you what, I'll go do the stock market. And they fall off. Anyone want to own up to being a dabbler? You're probably not part of the mastermind, to be honest. Dabblers don't generally go to a high level. They buy the cheap products and do nothing else. Then you got the stressor. Now, this person I knew personally, because just like I already told you, they would go to school, they'd go to university, they'd find something. And then the moment it got hard, they would stress. They'd go on courses, they'd find coaches, they'd join masterminds. Any stresses here? They do this, they do that, and they break through, and it's super exciting, they break through. But what happens? They hit another ceiling complexity, and they stress, 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 and they break through. And what I learned in life, because this was me. Up until 2010, I have multiple degrees, as you know. I have courses from everywhere. I've read every book. I've flipping done every mastermind, every coach, you name it. But I wasn't implementing properly. I was a stressor. I was stressing. And then in 2010, I came across Tony Robbins, or not came across him, but I went and did his business mastery course. And he literally said the way to do it is to be a master. If you're over here, Scott Picken, and you want to be like Richard Branson, well, firstly, you should try and meet Richard Branson. You should try to spend time with him energetically and see, really see in essence what he's like. But the way to get there is to model a master. Find people along the way that are already doing it and copy what they're doing and partner with them. Ideally, the fastest way is partnership, because then you create the environment. And so the simplest, easiest, safest way is to get there. And so at that business mastery training, we were taught this, which was effectively the business mastery training, the ultimate business mastery. And in that, Chet Holmes spoke about the fact that there are 4,000 different ways to do a business, and most business people are doing 4,000 different things. But actually, there's only 12 things in business that are important. And he went through them, sales, marketing, setting up your systems, your operation, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's 12 of them. I'm not going to go into that. By the way, there's an entire, as a mastermind member, you've actually got access to this entire training. So again, just while I talk about it, I will show you. It is literally here. You go to Classroom, you go down here, you go to Business Mastery. I've given it to you for free. This cost me $50,000. I've given it all to you for free. All 12 skills are in here. Everything's here, all the bonuses, it's all in here. You can thank me later. Anyway, the point of my story, my takeaway was that I'd been reading all these books, doing all these courses, all these business stuff, but I wasn't implementing. And so I made a commitment to myself that this would be different. I would implement the 12 lessons from that, and I would do it over and over again. And I got Jaco to join me. Jaco joined me as my partner in 2011, 2012, and we took off. We absolutely took off. Our business took off. We were making lots of money. And you know what's so interesting? To this day, Jaco still builds businesses to this day. And whenever he starts with a new team, they go through this exact training. And some people say, but Scott, it's 15 years old. Well, it's the fundamentals of business. And so back to how I realized I'd fallen off the path. And my wish for all of you is don't be like an octopus on roller skates, because the 10X principle And not every book's going to resonate with everyone, but Paul O'Mahony has implemented it in his entire organization. Robin Banks has implemented it in his entire organization. I know multiple people that I highly respect that have taken it and are implementing it in theirs. And on that basis, my suggestion is, why don't you implement it for yourself? Don't just listen, but do it. So if you look at it here, the 7 deadly traps of 2x thinking. You carry complexity. Your systems become tangled and fragile, demanding constant maintenance to just keep pace. You stay local. Your vision is limited to minor competition, ensuring you never truly innovate or dominate. You react emotionally. Every minor setback feels like a catastrophe, leading to impulsive, short-sighted decisions. You rely on willpower. Progress depends on unsustainable effort and discipline, leading to burnout and resentment. You stall out at the same level. You hit a plateau and never break free in the magnitude of development to scale. So remember what I said there, dabblers, stressors. You build inconsistent wealth. You trade time for money in a linear fashion. Your financial security is fragile and fleeting. You stay trapped by your old identity. You remain the same person doing slightly better, never unlocking the potential of who you could be or your massive scale. And my wish for all of you, my honestly, you know, on my hands and knees, I'm begging you, is that this is the type of book, and I saw Joyce share that it's on Audible. When I really like a book like this, I listen to it to make sure I make sense to me, and then I order it. Now, today I would have the physical book here, but unfortunately I bought it on Amazon when I was in London, and there was a delivery issue and it didn't arrive. I've bought it again here in South Africa, but it hasn't arrived. So I don't have my physical book to show you. But this is the type of book that when something's really important to me, I listen to it, I buy the physical book, and I use it as a manual, and then I implement it. And our entire theme for this next year at our business is 10x. Everything we talk is going to be 10x. It's going to be 10x principles. How do we do it? And by the way, it's nothing that we haven't heard before. Any of you that have ever been in business, and pretty much any of you that have succeeded in life, already know these principles. It's just about actually doing it and implementing it. And so I wanted to start off with this because I fundamentally believe that most of you, and my wish is that there'll be none of you, but my concern is that most of you are going to hear what I'm going to say and you're not going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the principles now, and I'm also going to show you how to do it. And I'm even going to show you how I can support you do it if you want me to. Okay, let's get into the 10 principles. How are we doing so far? How's everyone's energy doing? I can see Archie's a recovering dabbler. Yeah, Archie, you and I, we all love our courses, basically. Okay, I'm just looking through the comments here to see if there's anything. Okay, let's see quickly. Okay, so for Shona, the stressor, like hopefully for all of you, Cynthia, recovering dabbler. Yeah, my wish is that we're all a master. And the way to be a master is literally, as Tony Robbins said, it's like that. It's a mindset shift. You just say, boom, I'm changing my way. I did in 2010. And my life took off in 2010. And to be honest, it then hit a plateau. It hit a plateau about 2015. I had a really horrendous period, both in my personal life and my marriage and in my business life. And for about 10 years, my life stagnated. I know some of you might not think that, but it really did in comparison with where it was going between 2010 and 2015. The best thing is I've rediscovered myself, bringing back the people like Jaco, where we were on fire together. And you know, Alex, I know that he knows what I'm talking about. And you know, because it's just when you change your mindset and you get in the right environment, the rocket ship just goes in a whole nother way. Okay, so let's go to number 1 principle. 10x requires a new identity, not more effort. 2x is a behavioral change. 10x is an identity change. To 10x, you must stop asking, how do I improve what I'm doing? And start asking, who do I need to become to operate at a fundamentally higher level? Now, on each of these, I've actually got an entire little workbook. So I'm going to share this with you. I didn't want to do it beforehand, but I've got an entire little workbook that you go and read. So I'm going to read to you some of the principles here. And do you want me to just type in the chat box quickly? Do you want me to leave the screen up, or do you want to see me fully? Which one do you like? Because I'm going to read this out. There's no ways I was building slides. So I created a Word doc for you. Well, not a Word doc, whatever you want to call it, as a manual to everything I'm going to share with you. Which one do you want? Do you want to see the slide, or do you want me to see me? Okay. Some say see me, some say keep screen. Okay, I'll do one for one and I'll change another. Let's leave it this one. Okay, 10x requires new identity, not more effort. Most investors stay stuck. So what I did, just for the record, and using AI, is because we're investing in wealth and creating an extraordinary life. I took the context of 10x. These principles are the generic principles, but then this document is what we can do around our investments, around our wealth, and around our businesses and taking our life from a financial wealth perspective to the next level. Most investors stay stuck in incremental growth because their identity is shaped by do-it-yourself investing, over-responsibility, local-only thinking, fear of partners, and emotional reactions to noise. 10x identity is a global investor with structure, support, and strategic mentorship. A 10x identity is not born in isolation. It's reinforced in monthly, shaped by expert reflection, and supported by a community of peers who think bigger. Now, think about what we just did with Anthony. Why do we check in every month? Because you've got a community of peers, but we're learning from Anthony every month on what do we need to know about the markets and how do we actually invest. When you look at the 12K club, which, as you know, is the upgrade from the 6K club at the mastermind, that's where the new identity becomes consistent. So you meet with me every single month. So every month I'm working with you on a monthly basis to transform your identity. That's my objective. It's not just to get you goals and outcomes. It's to transform your identity to the next level. When you're meeting with Anthony and the family office on a quarterly basis, it's about transforming your whole wealth paradigm to the next level. And when you meet with Amy at the family space, that's around your legacy and your conversations around money, so you can literally transform the entire money or wealth story within not only your family, but within your future family legacies perspective. So that's why the monthly coaching reinforces the identity shift and keeps you aligned and prevents you from slipping back into 2x behavior. Because I can promise you, I'm on a mission now around 10x. Not only am I going to hold myself to account, I expect all of you to hold me to account. I expect my team to hold me to account. I expect to hold them to account. But equally, as a mastermind, and particularly for the 12K members I work with, this will be the core mission for 2026, is how do we 10X our lives? Simple. That's it. How do we 10X our lives? Right. So the question I have for you, who were you in 2025 and who must you become in 2026? And who will you hold accountable to that identity? So we're going to do a whole exercise at the end, and these questions are all in the exercise, and I've already sent the workbook to all of you. But by the way, I'll share the workbook with you quickly now in the chat room for all of you, just that you've got it. I did a lot of work for this. I hope you can see that. And I'll let you in on a little secret why I did it. Because by doing all this work, it helps me reinforce why this is so important. Not only for myself, but also for the team. Now, there it is. Okay. So you got the 10X review and planning. I have already shared it with all of you. So that's the very first question. I'm just going to repeat it again. Who were you in 2025? Who must you become in 2026? And who will hold you to account to that identity? So again, for me, I can tell you that's going to be. It's going to be my own team. But what's already happening, and I'd love Alex's opinion. Alex, please say yay or nay if you want to. But I can promise you, Jaco's holding me to account. He's making me fill in daily sheets. He's making me turn up to the meetings. He literally has already told me, Scott, next year, we're cutting away the 80%, we're focusing on the 20%, and we're going to have a highly successful year. Okay, so he's going to be my accountability partner. And my question is, who's your accountability partner? And for the 12K members, that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, right. Happy? Let's move. So Alex is saying yes with clear objective. I know Alex knows what I'm talking about. He's holding us all to account, which I cannot wait. Next year is going to be rocket ship times. Okay, principle number 2. 10X begins with subtraction, not addition. This is one of the hardest things in my life. Like, I tend to accumulate stuff. I like to do, because I've got lots of energy, I like to do lots of things. And so the problem is that if you do 10 things at like 50%, then you don't do anything well. But if you do one thing really focused, then it can really take off. And it's one of the things that I find really hard in business. So whenever you meet a new entrepreneur, they're always trying to start like 3 businesses. It doesn't work. Now, one of my weaknesses 20 plus years in, I'm still doing it. I'm still trying to do too many things all at the same time. And literally yesterday, today's Friday, what's today, Wednesday. On Monday, Jaco said to me, Scott, your biggest Achilles heel is you try and do too much. He knows me. Him and I've known him since 2005. We've been in business since 2011. We've been partners in business since 2005. We've owned a business together since 2012. And my voice note to him yesterday, just yesterday, I'm happy to play it if anyone wants to listen. Jaco, I want you to be my accountability partner. If I'm trying to do too much, you tell me, because I know it's my Achilles heel and it's time to change. 2X, you try and add more, you try and take on more, and you try and optimize everything. This is Scott picking 100%. 10X, you eliminate the 80% that no longer serves you so that you can play a bigger game. You cannot carry yesterday's complexity into tomorrow's possibility. Okay, let's read our notes. Most portfolios and wealth lives are too noisy. Too many assets, too many decisions, too many emotional attachments, too many local behaviors, too much DIY, trying to do it all themselves, complexity. 10X requires removing what doesn't belong. You need to subtract the underperformers. Funny enough, my uncle taught me this. My uncle's a highly successful stockbroker and investor. And he's a guy that has no problem selling an asset if it's not working, even if he's losing money. He doesn't mind. Lose it, get rid of the negative energy, take that money, reinvest it somewhere else, and put it in a better asset. Misaligned partners. One of my biggest problems has been alignment in the past. Get rid of misaligned partners. Just get them out of your life. They're not worth the energy. Emotional assets. Oh, I'm holding on to that because my late great-grandmother owned that little house or something. Unnecessary complexity. Something we meet all the time between ourselves and the family office. People have their systems set up and it's so complex and it's just unnecessary. And anything that drains energy rather than compounds it. I'm going to be ruthless on this next year. If it drains my energy, it leaves the building. And I think I've done quite a good job. And I'm sorry, I apologize if I'm being very direct with this energy, but in some levels, a number of these things I've somehow intuitively done already, but I'm really wanting to stress upon you and I'm wanting to use me as a guinea pig of what is possible for you. Right, what do you keep? Well, you keep global trends, you keep passive income engines, you keep high quality partners, you keep the family office strategy, and you keep simplicity. Now, with regards to what we do at the 12K, it's you cannot subtract effectively without expert eyes. So what does Anthony do? He comes in as a subtraction expert. He literally sits down with you every quarter and he helps Anthony. Anthony helps you identify exactly what is leaking, what is obsolete, and what must be removed or rebalanced. This is subtraction that the family office actually provides. So the question that you have in this principle is what must disappear from your portfolio and your life in 2026 so that you can 10X? Do me a favor. Are you with me so far? We're 2 in, 8 to go. Right, number 3. 10X goals create clarity. 2X goals create confusion. 2X goals keep you stuck in incremental thinking. 10X goals force radical clarity because only the few things that truly matter survive the filter. What's left becomes your strategic focus. Okay, so let's go into this. Small goals create clutter and indecision. Big goals force simplicity, focus, and intentionality. 10X goals reshape your portfolio structure, your risk framework, your asset selection, your behavior, your environment. I'll give you a good example of this. We set ourselves a revenue target last year, and we didn't come close to where we wanted to be. But the difference is we stayed in 2x thinking. We didn't change. We had the same people, same environment, the same thinking. We set a big goal, but all we did was hope and pray that we'd get a different result. Next year, we're setting the same goal. And it's a big goal. It's a hairy, audacious goal. But to achieve that goal, things have to fundamentally shift. My identity shifted. A number of the players on the team that weren't 10x thinkers are gone. Who, not how, we've brought in the right people so that we can 10x. And now I know in my heart it's possible. So do you see how by having a big goal and then by changing your behavior and your decisions, it turns that goal into reality? The whole idea with the 12X Club, the 12K Club, is to turn those 10X goals into systems. Monthly strategic guidance from me, quarterly financial alignment with Anthony, and family integration with Amy. This is the structure that turns big goals into predictable outcomes. So the question I have for you all here within this exercise is, what 10X goal eliminates confusion and focuses your energy in 2026? Let me repeat that. What 10X goal eliminates confusion and focuses your energy in 2026? I know mine. It's one single number. Cool. Just by the way, is anyone actually here? I asked you guys if you were with me after Principle 2 and no one responded. Am I just talking to myself? Am I preaching to myself? Shona's here. Okay, Shona, it's you and me.
I'm here.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm keeping you awake, you know. Okay, right, let's go to the next one. 10X requires letting go of the past. 2X thinking tries to scale what already exists. Remember Scott Pickett? We had a big, hairy, audacious revenue goal. It's like, we're literally going to, scale what, we're going to create this massive goal, but just off what we already have. 10X thinking requires ending outdated systems, habits, relationships, expectations, and strategies. I've literally just said that. So over here, I had this big, hairy, audacious goal. So did me and my team, but nothing changed. We just hoped and prayed it'd be different. Whereas over here, we had to let go of the past. We've got rid of people. Half our team's gone. We're going to change systems. We're changing thinkings. We're changing habits. I know it's music to Alex's ears. We're implementing OKRs. We're bringing in the people that can implement OKRs and that will hold us accountable. And on that basis, we're changing expectations and we're changing strategies. 10X is not built on improvement. It's built on replacement. So if we look here, the notes are, you cannot take old habits, old fears, old beliefs, old partners, old emotional triggers, and old financial behaviors into a 10X future. Your past created your present. It cannot create your future. Letting go requires support. Within the 12K Club, we give you the environment to release your old identity and replace it with the emotional, strategic, and behavioral patterns of a global investor. So emotional is me on a monthly basis. The strategic is Anthony on a quarterly basis. And the behavioral is Amy with the whole family concept in terms of setting you and your family up for success. So your question, what are you going to stop carrying in 2026? Big one for me. Do you know that up until 12 months ago, I'd never fired anyone? I've had my own business for 21 years. I'd never let anyone go, and I'd never fired anyone. We ran the biggest communist consortium in the world.
Right.
All you had to do was turn up and breathe to stay at our company. I know I'm being direct. In the last 12 months, I think it's 6 people are gone. Okay, next one. 10X uses leverage. By the way, that's half our team. 50% of people are gone. 10X uses leverage, not willpower. Willpower creates burnout. I actually can't believe how 2x I was. Again, what have I tried to say to you all day? Like working hard, I'll outwork you. I got more willpower than you. And my business coach has said to me over and over again, you are going to burn out. If you drive a car in the 8,000 revs, it will burn out. And when you burn out, you never recover. Leverage creates exponential results. So how do you leverage? Again, back to here. What is this all about? What is mastery all about? It's about leverage. What systems can you leverage off? What people can you leverage off? What partnerships can you leverage off? What thinking can you leverage off? You know, maybe just the 10x thinking alone is leveraging off something. Your leverage is people, partnerships, technology, capital. By the way, technology, for those of you who want to do the AI thing with me next year, I mean, I know Joy's online. She's thinking of a business proposal. Just last night, I learned about deep research. So you can literally go and research stuff. I know nothing about a business. I went and researched a business for her. It gave a 29-page report on everything about her competitor analysis, her business, and everything. Now, I haven't had time with her to go through the detail, but I mean, this is leveraging. If you're not using AI right now and you're not really starting to implement it properly, you're going to get so left behind. I cannot explain it to you. I literally, it's every part of my life now in terms of it. I'm sure that I'm playing at 10%. I'm next year, I'm going to take AI to a whole nother level. It's going to be the backbone behind this 10x. Capital and systems and knowledge and frameworks. Okay, so I think that's everything. 10x is impossible alone. It's a collaborative identity. Now, you all know that you're already part of the mastermind, so hopefully I don't need to share that. But I mean, how many of your mates and everyone else that we know is running around the world whinging and not actually doing anything about it? So 2x is about working harder. 10x is about building smarter systems. Derek, you said that in the accountability. We call it smart investing, by the way, because I think smart investing is exactly that. It's using technology, it's using partnerships, it's using everything involved. I can go into the whole thing behind smart if you want me to. Your ecosystem offers leverage through the Wealth Migrate platform, global operators, Callio's financial models, family office allocation, asset allocation, the mastermind frameworks, AI and automation, and strategic partnerships. So just by being part of the mastermind, you've actually got all of this leverage already. In terms of the 12K upgrade, what that does is that I work on people's strategy, so I help you leverage your strategy. Anthony helps you leverage your financial intelligence, and Amy helps you leverage your family alignment. This is our team that helps you ensure your leverage expertise are working on a monthly, quarterly basis versus just trying to rely on your willpower. So the question I have for you all here is, where are you still relying on effort rather than leverage? How many of you are still doing this? If you're honest, because I don't think there's too many dabblers here, but how many of you are still stressing? This is all about willpower. This was Scott Pickett 101. Stress, 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 stress. Dad gets cancer at 49, dies. I'm 48, by the way. Versus leveraging. And that's what mastery is all about. Okay. Let's get going. Right, number 6. 10x thinkers focus on transformation, not transactions. So 2x seeks efficiency, 10x seeks meaningful breakthroughs, category shifts, transformation, and asymmetric upside. You stop asking, how do I do more? And you start asking, what transformation do I create? Oops, sorry, thank you. I forgot I took my screen off. Okay, so I'll just read that again so that you can see it. 2x seeks efficiency, 10x seeks meaningful breakthroughs, category shifts, transformation, and asymmetric upside. You stop asking, how do I do more? And you start asking, what transformation do I create? So again, the question is, what transformation are you wanting to go through? So let's look here. 2x investors chase deals, 10x investors build an ecosystem. 10x thinking transforms your portfolio architecture, your identity, your family conversations, your long-term strategy, and your generational impact. You know, for me, when you look at most people out there, all they're doing is they're just investing. They go along and they say like, right, should I invest in this property, or should I buy Bitcoin, or should I buy this share, NVIDIA? And they don't have a plan. And what all of you have as part of the mastermind is you've all built a plan, or hopefully you should have. That's why you're here. And once you got the plan, you then have the deals, the investments, and whether they fit your plan. So all of you are already in this process. In terms of where we go, in terms of the transformation within the 12K, for me, it's how you decide. It's how you allocate, and it's how you lead your wealth journey. So for me, when you work with me every month, I'm helping you make the right decisions in terms of what are you focusing on. Anthony's helping you decide on what are the assets you should be allocating on a quarterly basis. And Amy's helping you guide your whole family on your wealth journey in terms of that process. So what's the question here? What must transformation in your financial life in 2026? What do you need to do? What needs to transform for you in 2026 rather than just incrementally improving? How are you going to take a step change from over here at 2x to over here at 10x? This is the homework that I have for all of us, because for me as well, because next year we are all going to fly. Who wants to type in there, just commit? Just commit with me. The next year you want to fly. We're going to take these principles, we're going to implement them. There's different ways people want to do it. I'm giving you a couple of ways, but who wants to commit with me? Like, hold me to account. I expect you to hold me to account. And for those of you who want to come on the journey with me personally, where I do the transformational coaching, I will hold you to account. That I can promise you. Because I think it's time to fly. Right. Next. 7. 10x thinking moves from time-based work to results-based work. 2x is tied to hours, tasks, and output. 10x is tied to outcomes, direction, and multipliers. You stop managing time and you start managing purpose. So let's go to this one. 2x investors think in hours and tasks. How many of your friends are like this? Maybe you like this as well. It's like, how many hours can I work? My brother's an anesthetist and he gets paid really well as an anesthetist, but he's only as good as the hours that he can work. Okay, and how many tasks he can get done. A 10x investor thinks in outcomes and systems. What is the outcome you need? What is the system you need? Maybe it's the language of investing. That's why you need to come to know your numbers. Maybe you need to learn the language of investing. Who do you need to partner with? I had a meeting with one of the 12K members yesterday and with Anthony. Who do you need to partner with to go to the next level? Global investing accelerates this shift. Operators run the assets. Analysts ensure the due diligence. The platform executes cross-border, and the system compounds. You know, when you look at a family office, that's exactly what they're doing. You're tapping into an entire network of people, a whole team. It's a whole wealth team that you have versus trying to do it on your own. And people say to me, I'll go see my financial advisor. And you're like, are you joking? Like, do you honestly think that they are a team and are they holding you to account? They sell you a product and make a commission. So what we try and do is that at the 6K level, I hold you to account every month. We do the group coaching. That's the transactional coaching, where I'm trying to hold you to account every month so that you are getting progress. It's transactional. I want you to get results on a monthly basis. It's really important to me. You joined, I want you to get results. At a 12K level, I want you to have a behavioral shift. I want you to have an identity shift. And, you know, Archie, as an example, what you and I spoke about in the last week, when I look at where Archie and I on our journey, I'm not going to go into details, it's private, but when I look at the change that's happened for Archie over the last 6 months, it's not a transactional change. It's a change in behavior. And that's what you want. You want a transformational change. That's transformation. it changes from results to actually showing up every month with clarity, because every month when you do this, okay, so I just want to show you here very quickly. So if you go into this in detail, I just need to be careful. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen to make sure I don't share anyone's private information here. Just 2 seconds. Yep, I'm glad I did because it was on someone's name. Let me just go to an example. So on a monthly basis, I check in with people and we spend an hour. No, man, come on. What's this thing doing? Sorry, 2 seconds, it shared the wrong screen. We spend an hour a month and we go through this and we get very clear. So it's the same process. You got your top 3 outcomes, you got your goals, you got your measure, and you got your priority. But every month we go into the detail. What are you focusing on for this month? What are your goals? What are your priorities? What are your measures? Every single month, what we do, the first thing we do is we look at the last month and we give ourselves a score. You give yourself a score. We then go to the next month and we plan out what we're going to do. And if there's any blockages, then we make sure that we try and find a way to remove those blockages. And so every month we are looking at creating this transformation across the 3 different outcomes. It's always 3s. All of us have 3s, whether you're working here at the transactional level, same thing, 3 outcomes. And then you've got your tasks, and we literally checking in every month, or here where we're wanting to make it transformational. Okay, I'm just trying to show you how this actually works in real life. On a quarterly basis, you're sitting with Anthony in terms of your allocations, and with Amy, you're sitting at a family level in terms of your family system. You know, if I've learned one thing about money, it's called the money story, and it's about implementing it across the whole family, not just you, but your children and your entire family ecosystem. This is how results become automatic. And so the question here is, where must you replace effort with a structure that produces results for you? So again, move away from that stressor mode and change to the master mode where you've got a structure. Okay, number 8. Let me just get the chat up just in case there's any questions that I need. Thank you for all the commitments. I presume volere means committed in Italian. Okay, 10x requires better questions, not better answers. 2x questions are tactical. 10x questions expand the possibility. For example, a 2x question would be, how do I increase my returns? A 10x question would be, what structure allows my wealth to expand automatically? So let's go into the notes here. 2x questions keep you small. 10x questions expand your world. So examples of this would, what global opportunities am I missing? How do I make wealth build itself? You know, just last night on Tony Robbins, someone asked a question, and I loved the question. I actually asked it. How can I use AI to build passive income? That's a great question, don't you think? I'm going to study that, by the way. And that's exactly what our Wealth Twin is going to be about. How can we build passive income using AI? What decision would my 10x self make? That is such a brilliant question. Do you know, I'll let you know a little secret. I'm going to stop sharing it quickly so you can see. You see this big picture over here? See this picture here? Richard Branson. Because I spend time with Richard, a question I often ask myself when I'm overwhelmed is, what would Richard do? So I'll give you 2 stories. One was Lloyd's Bank. He had a £500 million credit with Lloyd's Bank, and they gave him 7 days to replace it. 7 days. And this was like in the early 90s. I mean, most of us, like if like we need to find $10,000, we shit ourselves. Imagine having to find £500 million in 7 days. Okay. And he found a way, because today we still have Virgin Atlantic. So I often think to myself, Scott, I don't care what your problem is. It's not as big as Richard's problem. Okay. Like, so, and then the other thing is at an operational level, he's got 400 companies. Now, I've been on the island with him. The guy plays tennis. He kite surfs. He works only between like 9 and 1. You're not allowed to work on Necker Island after 1 o'clock. And so I often say to myself, well, if every CEO sent 1 SMS to Richard per day, that would be 400 SMSs. There's no ways he could keep up. So he's built the people and the systems and the teams to make sure that doesn't happen. So whenever I've got complexity, I think to myself, well, what would Richard do? Great question. 10x question. Find someone you respect and ask yourself the question, what would they do? So it's all about the questions that's going to evolve your environment. You need to think bigger because you're guided, challenged, and elevated. So again, what I try and do on a monthly basis is I try and sit with you and I try and ask you better questions to help you come up with the right answers. It's the most important thing that you can do for someone. So your question here is, what single 10x question you must consistently ask in 2026? Have you got it yet? I said mine earlier already. It's funny because one of the questions that they ask in that books is, if you're earning $100,000 a month, or whatever, it doesn't matter, per month, let's say $10,000 a month, and you want to 10x it, like you go, what? $100,000 a month? That's a lot of money. But the challenge, that's the whole thing. It's like, so whether it's revenue in a business, whether it's income, like how could you 10x? I am literally asking the question, how can I 10x my life? That's my question. I want to 10x my relationships. I want to 10x my health. I want to 10x my business. I want to 10x my friendships. I want to 10x my life experiences. I want to 10x my faith. I want to 10x my personal development. My question is, how am I going to 10x my life? What is your question? The quality of a question determines the scale of your result. Okay, number 9. 10x priorities, the right environment, not the right information. So, information is not the bottleneck. Environment is. 10x growth demands accountability, reflection, mentors, aligned peers, high-quality inputs, emotional stability, and strategic frameworks. So let's just look at all of that. We all know this because you joined the mastermind. Most of you joined the mastermind because you want accountability, whether it's transactional accountability at the 6K level or whether it's transformational accountability at the 12K level. We all know that we cannot operate without accountability. Why do I go to gym twice a week and have a gym coach? Accountability. Why do I make sure that I get Yaku involved in terms of the 10X thing? Accountability. Why do I get the community to hold me to account? Accountability. Even in terms of the push-ups thing that I've done all year, we're on a WhatsApp group. Accountability. My question is, who do you have in your corner for accountability? Reflection. Who do you bounce stuff off? I have a psychologist. I'm meeting her at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I meet her every single Wednesday. I have a business coach. I have mentors. Who do you have? Who do you reflect off and bounce ideas? Oh, by the way, I have AI now as well. Because I don't care what you want to call AI. I've taken 2 years worth of every single session I've had, coaching and psychology, and I've uploaded them all into AI. Every single thing. It knows everything about me. It knows my Enneagram. It knows everything. It has my book. It has everything about me. Brilliant, brilliant tool for reflection. Mentors. Aligned peers. You're part of a mastermind, so well done. You're in the right environment. But again, I can promise you the people that are getting the most results are the people that come to the Wealth Weekend. Jane and Mike came to the Wealth Weekend. They're now accountability partners. That does not happen. You don't build friendships until you meet people in person. High quality inputs. You know, back to Anthony. What you get in 30 minutes out of Anthony, what we all get on a monthly basis, no one else in the world is getting it. They're definitely not getting it within 30 minutes. Emotional stability. This is a big one for me. I came from an environment for many years where I didn't have emotional stability with the people around me, and therefore I wasn't stable. So it's about making sure you hang out in the right environment with the right people with emotional stability. And then strategic frameworks, well, you know, things like OKRs, 10X thinking, exponential thinking, EXO. I've taught you all of these things. You need to stop thinking about them. Scott, you need to stop thinking about them. You need to do them. Right. Number 9. Boom, 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 boom. We've got that. investors tend to fail due to poor environments, not poor information. No accountability, no reflection, no strategic companionship, no emotional grounding, no expert guidance, and no consistent framework. What we've tried to do, so we originally built the mastermind just with the 6K club. That's all that existed. And the reason we built the 12K club was that we needed, and we realized that people wanted more. And so the reason we did that is we created an environment to create exponential growth. You know, where I literally meet with you on a monthly basis, which is your identity reinforcement and your accountability and stretching you. Then the quarterly financials, people want to be able to sit with Anthony and to be able to go through the quarterly financials. And then we didn't even know this was required 3 years ago, but the whole family alignment. How do we get children involved? How do we engineer the family money conversations? How do we build wealth from a legacy perspective and from a generational perspective? And that's exactly why all three of those components were added to the 12K in terms of that process. Now, where am I? Did I lose my place there? Yeah. So the whole idea here is we've tried to create this environment for 10X becoming normal. So the question I've got for you is, what environment must you commit to in 2026 for exponential results? Great question. And you need to look at all of those things. What's your environment for accountability, reflection, mentors, aligned peers, high quality inputs, emotional stability, strategic frameworks? And maybe you're getting it all in the mastermind already. Great, perfect. You're in the right environment. We've only got mastermind members here. There's no subtle sales pitch for the mastermind. You're already all mastermind members. Okay, environment dictates behavior. Behavior dictates outcome. Right, number 10. And by the way, I'm going to let you know a secret. There is a bonus. 10X is easier because it forces simplicity. 2X is heavy, complicated, messy, and overwhelming. 10X is simple, elegant, essential, and powerful. Once you clear away the non-essential, you operate only in your highest value activities, which is why 10X becomes easier than 2X. So let's look at this one. 2X feels heavier, chaotic, and emotional. 10X feels clear, elegant, and aligned. Simplicity is the reward. By the way, how often do you hear me talk about simplicity? I always say simplicity is power. And again, I learned this lesson. I used to have 300 goals. Now I have 3. Well, I don't let you write down 3 priorities. We write down 1 priority. I don't let you write down 3 measures. We write down 1 measure. Why? Because simplicity is power. You remove the noise. You set 10X goals. You choose aligned partners. You build consistent systems, and you operate in your highest value zone. So the whole idea here is that we want to create simplicity through structure. We want your decisions to be easier, your portfolio to become clearer, your family to become aligned, and your direction to become focused. That's what we've done with regards to the 12K. And we've added in the component where you've got me, you've got Anthony, and you've got Amy to help make sure that you actually do that. Simplicity emerges because you're no longer doing this alone. And the question I have for you here is, what must you simplify in 2026 to make 10X your new normal? What must you simplify in 2026 to make 10X your new normal? I have a lot of work to do on this one. This is not my natural norm. I have a lot of work to do on this one. Okay, and then we go to the bonus, the most powerful one. Who, not how. Okay, so now that I've taken you through the 10X, the 10 principles of 10X, there's one more that's the most powerful principle of all. It's the one that literally makes 10X possible. And for most investors, this is the difference, because most investors, when it comes to investing in money, are trying to do it alone. They're trying to build their wealth alone. They're trying to carry their family alone, and they're trying to set their financial structures up alone. That's a very, very 2X approach. Your 10X journey is not meant to be a solo mission. You need the who's. This is exactly why we built the 10X, the 12K club. And the reason we built the 12K was because we wanted to provide people with the who's to be able to help them in that process. So let's look at this bonus in a bit more detail in terms of the who, not how. This principle unlocks every other principle. The bonus is who, not how. 10X is a team sport, not a solo mission. 2X thinking is how do I get this done? Where do I find the time? How do I solve this problem? How many of you are guilty of that, by the way? I know I am. So for the last certainly decade, ever since I stopped thinking like this. So back in 2011 with Tony Robbins in 2010 and Roger Hamilton in 2011. And I was like, right, I'm now going to consciously build a team and I'm going to go out there and get the best. And literally, I was like Roger Hamilton asked me, who's the best? And it was Jaco Moritz. I was like, I'm going to get Jaco. And it took me a long time to get him to join, but he joined. And because before that, before 2011, 2012, when Jaco joined me, I would be worrying about trying to do it all myself. How do I get this done? Where do I find the time? How do I solve this? Alex, I guarantee you Alex will be like this. This is all like, this is the attitude we've been in for a long time. Bottlenecks and dealing with 2X thinkers that consistently say they don't have the money or the time or the whatever. And it is so frustrating. 10X thinking is who already has the capability. You don't have to figure it out. I don't want to understand OKRs. In fact, I don't even care. I know they're good. I want to implement them. I just need to know who has the capability to do it. Who can do this faster, better, and with less friction? Who can accelerate this for me? Who can I partner with so I never have to do this alone again? Don't you think these are four great questions? I mean, give yourself an honest review here. I can see Joyce put in there 2X. Who else is guilty here? Just type in 2X or 10X. I know for the last 10 years or more, I've been very guilty of 2X. I always sit there. How do I get this done? Where do I find the time? How do I solve this problem myself? Scott. Sometimes I'll partner with Alex because him and I have a great relationship. And sometimes we drag ourselves into 10X. But we've been in an environment of 2X thinking. And tell me if I'm wrong, Alex, please. And when you're in an environment of 2X thinking, hanging around 2X thinkers, you play like a 2Xer. And for me, these are the questions. When I say, how am I going to 10X my life? Across all those other 10 principles, how do you 10X your life? You ask better questions. Alex said, outcome focused is the name of the game. You don't get stuck in the detail. Exactly, Alex. You know, what Alex is talking about, and I share this all the time, Alex shares this all the time when we're doing coaching. But what Alex is talking about is this, and I shared this in the accountability. But let's just go there because it's so important right now, is what Alex is showing. And by the way, I've already shared these slides in the WhatsApp group. But what Alex is sharing is this, is that most people are in this away state, withdrawn, fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated. 95% of the world's here. How do you get in this towards state? Happy, ability to think clearly, creative, see new opportunities, lots more, motivated, interested, optimistic, make good decisions, have insights, curious, work actively, problem solve, engaged, experience joy, forgiving, open to more information. There's only two ways. You get in a like-minded group of people going in the same direction, 10X thinkers, and you get clear on your outcome. 2X thinkers, all they think about is problems and drama. And there are a lot of them out there in this world. You get clear on the outcome, you make it happen. And then how do you make it happen? Well, you go back to questions like this. Who, not how? Who already, oops, sorry. Where's my slide gone? Sorry. What happened to my slide there? Come on. My computer's starting to play games with me. Why is it not coming up? Yeah. Who already has the capability? Who can do this faster, better, and less friction? Who can accelerate this for me? And who can I partner with so I never have to do this alone? Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm taking a bit longer than I thought, but I've prepared for this. I haven't obviously practiced this. I didn't know how long it was going to take. I'm going to do it properly. If you need to leave, you can leave. I'm going to record it. I want to give you everything I've got. Now, and Alex is saying, what are your top 3 outcomes? Hopefully you're starting to see how our entire system's been built. When you join the mastermind, what are your top 3 outcomes? What are your top 3 priorities? What are your top 3 measures? Everything's about that. The entire psychology, it's always outcome-based thinking. However, saying that, I'm going to take it to the next level because I agree, Alex and I have been outcome-based thinking, but I was still, how do I get this done? How do I find the time? How do I solve this problem? So I was outcomes thinking I was outcomes based with 2x thinking. How good is this, Alex? I'm coming up with this on the fly. I was outcomes based with 2x thinking. Now it's time to be outcomes based with 10x thinking. Outcomes based with 10x thinking. And that becomes who, not how. Right. 10x requires identifying the right partners, the right specialists, the right frameworks, the right accountability structures. Who, not how is the gateway to 10x, not a step within it. And when I look at the whole thing with Alex and when I first spoke to him about Jaco joining, and I was quite nervous that he would have quite a lot of resistance. And what I love about Alex is he's a growth mindset person. And you know the exact word that he said to me, Alex, I don't know if you can even remember, we were in the jacuzzi, and you said, I would love Jaco to join because I can learn from him. Remember that? That's a growth mindset person. And that's about finding the right people. Like, I don't know how to do OKRs. I mean, we've spoken about this for 10 years, never done it. Alex and I have tried multiple times. Other partners and I have tried multiple times. We never successfully implemented, not once. But now we're doing it differently. Now we've gone who, not how, and the who is making it happen. Alex, do me a favor. Just talk quickly if you don't mind. It's time for you to come say something about, I'd love you to just give your experience because it's very recent. I mean, I only read the book in September. I asked Jaco at the end of September. He joined us in October. What's been your experience of who, not how, in terms of something that's so important to you, probably more important to you than me, in terms of implementing OKRs and rhythms in the business? And just by the way, I'm using business as a context, but this could be anything in your life. It's any important thing in your life. How could you get it done?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway I've taken so far is, I mean, it's what you've been saying on stage for as long as I've known you, is, and you know, that mastery mindset. When you're a master in something, you know, kind of you're already predicting what you don't know, and you know, it's that whole state of mind of I don't know what I don't know. So when we were trying to do these OKRs, and I mean, we really gave it our best a few times. And the biggest thing for us was that consistency. And Jaco's just been like, oh, no, I know we're having our hard days. We know we're going to have our good days. How, you know, it's okay. Just calm down. You know, this is all expected. And it brings just that level of calmness. And he's been through it already. So I think that's the biggest thing for me. And that's been the biggest takeaway so far, has been just like, okay, no, you know, he's got it. And that kind of I don't know, sense of calmness just comes up over and over and over for me. So I think that's been the biggest takeaway is trying figuring out what software to use for OKRs and how to structure a document. And you know, I think we understand the philosophy and the methodology about these terms, again, OKRs, objectives and key results, KPIs, blah blah blah. But it's like, how do you actually practically take those philosophies and actually put it into practical steps? And that's been really the where the rubber starts hitting the road ultimately. So yeah.
And I think Alex, the reason I asked you to jump on and why I've been talking about this is because it's been such a profound impact in 2 months in my life and in your life and in the team's life. And it all started by me going on a trip to Botswana. Okay, like literally, so go and get yourself in the right environment. Paul O'Mahony going, read this book. I read the book, and then I'm like, literally start implementing the things because it's all about a mindset shift. Bring Jaco in, and the profound impact. It's like my energy, my peace of mind for next year is like I'm completely at peace because I know next year is going to be a phenomenal year. In business, I'm talking about. I know it's going to be a phenomenal year in all areas of my life, but in business specifically. And it's this who, not how. And that's why I just asked you to jump on, because this represents, and what I'm asking for everyone, and I'll just go back to sharing my screen here, is who are you using to, you know, the right partners, the right specialists, the right frameworks, the right accountability. It doesn't matter which part of your life that you want to 10x in. That's what I'm asking you, you know, to ask these questions in. 10x requires an identity that changes you faster with the right who. Its subtraction becomes easier with the right who. Leverage is impossible without the right who. Better questions are asked in a who-driven environment, and simplicity emerges when you stop being the bottleneck. Can you see how it all starts to come together?
Yeah. Scott, do you mind? I'm not sure if you're going to go to this, the gap versus the grind. Are you going to talk about it a little bit later?
I'm not actually going to go into detail. So let me finish this bonus on who, not how, and then I'm going to ask you to come and give your context on that. I did try and talk about it right up front, but I haven't actually even read that book yet. Let me come back to that, Alex. I want you to talk a little bit about that. Okay. So the last thing here, basically, in the who, not how, is that for me, the 12K Club is the real life embodiment of the who, not how. And the reason is that you meet with me on a monthly basis in terms of strategy and identity. So that's why we literally do this every single month. We check in and we go across your 3 outcomes, and it's all about an identity shift. It's all about transformation in terms of that process. The next is Anthony. You meet with him on a quarter. You meet with Garth on an annual basis and Anthony on a quarterly basis, and that's about your financial intelligence. That's about ongoing, making the difference and moving the needle forward in terms of it. And then lastly, you've got the Amy for the family alignment. So it's the 3 legs of the pillar, and it's the who, not how, to help people get the results in terms of that process. So let's finish it off in terms of 2X. On the 2X side, you've got effort, complexity, busyness, confusion. Oh, confusion's twice there. Interesting. Isolation and noise. By the way, you're so confused in 2X that you've got it twice. You're confused and confused in terms of that process. And then in 10X, it's about changing your identity, your clarity, your structure, your leverage, your simplicity, and your environment, and finally your partners. So if we summarize, 2X is about effort, addition, improvement, optimization, busyness, and overwhelm. 10X is about identity, subtraction, clarity, leverage, simplicity, and transformation. 10X is easier because you do fewer things, you focus only on what matters, you leverage partners and systems, you stop repeating the past, and your environment upgrades your behavior. Your identity shifts to match your goals. Remember what I said right up front? Last year, I set big, hairy, audacious goals for myself and for the team, and we made no progress because identity stayed where we were. I know this year is going to change because our identity is completely shifted. 10X is not harder, it's just different. So Alex, talk to us a little bit quickly. I've still got more, by the way. By the way, I've got an entire case study and everything. People are going to kill me because I'm running but I'm just going to keep going for as long as I need. But let's go to the gap in the gain because, by the way, after Alex finished, I'm going to go into a case study around retail investing and what I call 2X retail mom and pop investing into 10X top 1% investing. And if you need to go, I'll record the whole thing. You don't need to worry. But I didn't plan on this. But Alex actually has something to share here around the gap and the gain. And I think this is critically important and very timely as Alex, again, at the end of this year, because most of us, me included, have been living in the gap, and it's time to live in the gain.
Yeah, so again, when you asked me to read this book, I was like, okay, cool, and the first 1 or 2 chapters was, to be honest, a very similar methodologies and tone and kind of energy and message that similar books I've read, Grant Cardone, 10X, et cetera, et cetera. But the one major thing that really landed well with me in this book and applying these methodologies is they speak about the gap, and then they speak about the was it a grind, right? No, not grind. Gap in the gain. Gap in the gain. So when you're in that gap state of mind, it's I want to be there, or I thought I was going to be there already, or I met with 2 of my very good friends over the weekend in Cape Town, and I was like, we actually all 3 of us are very very much overachievers and want to take over the world. And we were all like, shit, we're at 31. And it's like, we thought we were going to be much further in the future and much more, asset bases and so on and so forth than where we are right now.
Alex, let me just say on behalf of everyone that is 40, 50, 60, 70 plus, piss off. because we all wish we could be 31. So yeah, just basically just piss off. I'm telling that on behalf of everyone. So
Fair enough, fair enough. But it was still, this was my first experience like that. And one of the biggest things that we actually did was we actually took a bit of, in the coaching, we call it staking stock. In this format, it's like taking actually where were you 10 years ago, 20 years ago, etc. And how did you actually 10x every single time? So in this book, and I mean, one of the chapters that really landed well with me was they actually say, go back to, well, what would resonate with me was, at 15, what was I doing? At 25, what was I doing? At 30, what am I doing now? At 35, what do I want to do? At 30, 45, what do I want to do? And in space of having a mindset of, oh, I thought I was going to be there, actually, in the game, you start focusing on, okay, what did I have to do in the past to get to that next level? And I think that was the main thing that I wanted to share with everyone on this call and with you, Scott, is because, the way that I went from, let's just say, how I went to 10x was actually spending more time with you and spending time with like-minded individuals that are playing in a whole different space. It's exactly what you've been saying this entire session. But it's actually quite nice to do that exercise, and I would encourage everyone to go do it. Take the years that resonate with you, write it down, and then what were the milestones? Again, sticking to those top three things. What was the three things you did in that year or at that age?
and
And
also,
then
Alex, sorry to butt in, but also sometimes who, like my most
Yeah,
profitable 3
yeah,
years of my life were 2012 to 2015. I made a lot of money. Okay, and I'm not being arrogant. I did through IPS. And in that same time, I wrote the book. I launched Wealth Migrate, everything. Who was there right next to me? Yaku.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I can't put it better than that. It's like when you were really winning, when things was going well, who were the people that you were surrounding yourself with? What happened? What were the lessons that you learned in that perspective? So that to me was the big thing. And I think that again, when we come back to coaching, Scott, that taking stock of where are you right now and articulating vision, again, thinking of where do you want to be in the next 5, 10, 20, 30 X amount of years, and what are the three things that you can do to get there, or what are the three things that can accelerate you to get there quicker. And again, in the book they speak about the 20% versus the 80%. What is the 20% of things that you can do within those three things, if I can put it that way, that can accelerate your growth quicker? Don't focus on the problem and drama or the 80%. And I'll be completely frank and honest. I am I've got in my office, I've got like these whiteboards everywhere. I've got A5 paper everywhere. So I list everything down. But what I've learned from Scott, and especially over this last, call it 72 hours, 3, 4 days now, it's not about the detail. It's not about okay, what are the 3 or 4 steps that we need to do to get to the next step? It's, forgetting about that actually and saying, okay, how can you actually, leapfrog this to a whole different level. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm going to go and talk about now at the session at 12 o'clock. Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway so far.
No, thanks, Alex. So I just want to reinforce what I just heard from you. So the one thing is, which I'd forgotten about, by the way, for the book, because I read it in like September, was actually reminding yourself, because every single one of us is 10x at some period of our life. Okay, so what Alex is saying is go back to that part of your life when you've done something in 10x, whatever it is. Okay, maybe you brought up a child as an amazing parent. Okay, and then look at like where you were and try and look for the patterns, which is what Alex just said. And I think it's brilliant because it makes everyone feel they can do it. That's important. And then the second part of what Alex has said is that you actually, the way to do all of this is simplicity. It's not more, it's less.
Mm.
And that's the biggest takeaway. Like for me, it's been over, not just because of this book, but over a couple of things. I was trying to do more, and actually I needed to do less to get more.
No, and I mean by doing more, we're just actually cementing ourselves in that 2x mindset, and that's I think the biggest breakaway. But Scott, yeah, I got to jump now to the next
That's all
session.
cool. Alex, awesome. Lovely to have you. And I'm going to keep going for people because I've done the work. I might as well share it. And if people need to duck, go for it. I will either see you tonight at the fireside chat with a beer. I will definitely have Castle Light. I will have finished my shareholders presentation. I'll need Castle Light. But no, on a serious note, let's go and have some fun. But I'm going to keep going. People can watch this recording. I did a whole thing on me and my ChatGPT mate. Did a whole bunch of work here. Okay, so let's go a case study of a 2x retail investor versus a 10x top 1% investor. So if you look here, a 2x retail investor, their identity is reactive, fear-based, operates alone. Their portfolio is single residential property, pension funds, so they're typical just pensions, and like someone, they might be in one currency, SA, UK, whatever, currency focus. Behavior, emotional decisions, chasing returns, no diversification. The environment, small thinkers, generalist advice, and the outcome, erratic results, underperforming, high stress, false safety. Okay, so you can look here. This is all about, if you want this wealth momentum, you've got low clarity here, and then this is where you got a clear path. Why do we start with the outcomes? On the 10x side, you've got identity as calm, strategic, global thinker, partner-driven. The portfolio, you gotta love AI with spelling. Sorry, the one problem with AI is that it can't spell it. It spells worse than me. And if you know anything about AI, once it's built something and you try and get it to make one spelling mistake, it's impossible. It's diversified, countries, currencies, asset classes, and alternatives. The behavior is frameworks are more important than emotions, family office principles, and long-term vision. The environment is guidance, high-performance peers, and global insights. And the outcome is predictable returns, passive income, real legacy, and exponential opportunity. Okay, if we go a little bit further, the 2x investor. So actually, let me go to this slide. So again, I've got a whole booklet here. Okay, and I don't know for time whether I can read this whole thing because it's all here. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the 10x investor because it's in more detail. Do you want me to just type in the chat box? Do you want me to take the time to read it or do you want me to just put it as a document below? Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do the thing in properly, and if people need to leave, they can leave and I'll watch the recording. Okay, so 2x investor, mom and pop retail framework. This investor follows the traditional, South African, English, whatever, global, the middle class kind of financial path. The identity is they're reactive, fear-based, dependent on old models, narrow worldview, operates alone. Their typical portfolio, they buy single residential property because that's what everyone else does. It gives them money, they give their money to a financial planner with no understanding of fees or performance. They invest in pension funds and hope the market delivers. Most exposure is in one country, one currency, and one economic cycle. Their savings are concentrated in high-fee, low-performance products. Their behavioral patterns, emotional decision-making, confusion around risk, chasing returns instead of building structures, little to no understanding of diversification, no framework for asset allocation, no partner-led decision-making. The environment, no accountability. No reflection, surrounded by people who think small, advice from generalists, not specialists, and no exposure to global opportunities. The outcome, erratic results, underperforming portfolios, high stress, little clarity, no wealth momentum, and a false sense of safety. Right, then you've got the 10x investor. They are global, structured, and family office inspired. The investor mirrors the practices of the top 1% and the ultra high net worth playbook. Their identity is calm, strategic, long-term, global thinker, and partner-driven. Their portfolio architecture is diversified across countries, South Africa, UK, USA, Europe, UAE, Singapore, etc. Currencies, USD, Euro, Pound, etc. Asset classes, global equities, private equity, commercial real estate, regeneration projects, alternatives, yield-focused passive income products, debt products, etc. Behavioral patterns, decides using frameworks, not emotions, allocates using family office principles, uses partners for sourcing, due diligence, and management, maintains global optionality, thinks in 10, 20, and 30-year horizons, measures performance using cash flows, IRR, and theme alignment. Environment, they have monthly strategic guidance where they have identity, clarity, and direction. That's basic coaching and accountability. That's what I always have that. Quarterly financial reviews, that's where they're looking at their allocation, their risk balancing, and their structuring. Family system alignment, so that's where they're talking about money conversations and legacy planning, setting our children up for success. Surrounded by high-performance peers, access to global insights and best-in-class partners, and embedded in mastermind ecosystems. The outcomes, predictable returns, passive income, compounding, low emotional volatility, aligned family system, clear wealth path, exponential optionality, and real legacy. Cool. And then the next one is, if you take a live walkthrough, and I actually asked AI to help me with this, and I said, if you had a typical investor, they got like $1 million or call it $100,000, like what would they actually do? So they would buy a house, they'd put in a pension with a financial planner, they'd have one asset class, country currency, fear emotion, operates alone, no system structure or feedback, guessing, emotional, alone, reactive. So it's all about emotion, structure, partners, and identity. And again, you compare it to this side, the 10X investor, they're across countries, currencies, and asset classes, specialists and global operators, platforms and family office method, and a mastermind community. It's guided, structured, supported, and thesis-driven. And the whole thing here is it's not luck, it's not time, it's not environment. The 10X investor version of you already exists, but it cannot emerge inside a 2X environment. So again, let's use this as an example. Let's take a 1 million Rand or $100,000 and what are the two different investors deploy. The 2X investor buys a house, puts some money in a pension, gives the rest to a financial planner and hopes for the best. Their entire financial future is concentrated in one asset class, one currency, one country, and one economic cycle. They make decisions based on fear, emotion, and habit. They operate alone. They have no system, no structure, or no feedback loop. Now compare the 10X investor or the global investor. They allocate across countries, currencies, and asset classes. They use specialists. They use global operators. They use platforms. They use family office methodology. They use mastermind community to refine their thinking. Where the 2X investor is guessing, the 10X investor is guided. Where the 2X investor is emotional, the 10X investor is structured. Where the 10X investor is alone, the 10X investor is supported. Where the 10X investor is reactive, the 10X investor is thesis-driven. And here's the truth. It's not intelligence. It's not luck. It's not more time. It's environment. It's structure. It's partners. It's identity. The 10X investor version in you already exists, but they cannot emerge inside a 2X environment. So one of the things that's important here is that for me, if we were to look at all three of these, is that you've got 3 wealth diagnostic exercises. So what I've shared with you is some homework to take everything that I've taken and to go and do some diagnostics in terms of it. So the first one is your identity diagnostic. So you've got 2 identities. You've got the 2025 version of you, what habits, fears, behaviors kept you small, and then the 10X identity, your 2026 version of you, the investor who you globally diversified, calm, intentional, and leveraged. So again, let me open that document. I actually forgot to open it, so give me 2 seconds. I just need to get it open for you. I did share it with all of you already, but let me open it quickly so I've got it on the screen here. Yeah, here it is. I did a lot of work for the session if you haven't figured that out already. Too much, clearly. I didn't realize it would take so long to go through all of this. Okay, so this is the homework for everyone, and I would strongly recommend you do this. So why are you doing it? Well, it's the worksheet 1 is all about your identity because your 10x growth begins with who you're becoming. Worksheet 2 is about subtraction. What are you going to remove? Your noise, habits, assets, behaviors. And worksheet 3 is about your strategy, like where you're going to invest in terms of your map for the world. Reminding you that the 3 is identity, subtraction, strategy is going to equal your implementation. And it also explains in quite a lot of detail what the 12K is and why your environment is so important in terms of this process. Okay, so the first thing, and I don't need to read it all because it's here, but who was I in 2025 and who do I choose to be in 2026? So what habits kept me operating at 2x? What fears kept me in my decisions? What emotional patterns slowed my momentum? What did I tolerate in 2025 that I can no longer tolerate in 2026? Fine, now it's your identity. Who do you want to be in 2026? Who do I need to become in 2026? What are the top 3 beliefs that I need? How do I 10x my identity to make better decisions? What support structure do I need? Monthly coaching, quarterly financial reviews, family and legacy alignment. What do you need? By the way, you can literally see we built the 12K Club to help people with all of these rhythms that people need. The identity declaration. Write 1 powerful paragraph describing the investor, leader, and human you're becoming in 2026. Pretty cool, eh? Are you enjoying this, by the way? I really wanted to create the tools to help you take everything I've shared and help you actually be able to do it. Right, number 2, portfolio subtraction map. What must I remove, simplify, or stop to get 10x? So the first thing is your assets and investments. Which ones are underperforming or emotional? And which assets are unclear on strategy or purpose? Then in terms of processes to simplify or remove, which financial processes need simplification and what decision-making patterns need to be upgraded? And then partners and systems and behaviors. So what do you need to let go of in terms of your DIY and move to partnership? What must I stop doing myself? Which partners do I need instead? Global platform partners, family office insights, monthly strategic leadership. These are just examples. You obviously can go write whatever you want. Subtraction summary. What are the top 5 things I will subtract in 2026? Okay, and then finally, the third piece, your global wealth map. This is designing your globally diversified partner leverage 10x wealth strategy. What countries do you want to target in 2026? Why these countries? How do they relate to 10x? What currencies and why? How do they help you with resilience? What assets? Short-term, long-term, alternatives, property. Time. What do you want to look at over 1 year, 5 years? Generational. Partners. Who do you want to partner with? For clarity, so this is an example of what we're doing at the 12K. Like on a monthly basis, I'm helping people one-to-one with clarity, identity, conditioning, and accountability. Who are you using? I'm just using me as an example for those in the 12K. Use me if you want, don't use me if you don't want. But the point is, that's what I'm doing. At a quarterly basis, what is Anthony doing? Allocation review, risk balancing, cash flow optimization. If you want to use Anthony at the 12K, use him. If you don't, then find someone else. But that's what you should be doing. And then family alignment. Who are you using to align your family? Around your money conversations, your legacy mapping, your generational wealth behavior. I know Roger Hamilton used to do this. And, he was the first one to teach me about this, how he would sit with his family, his children. I met his child. He came to Neck Island, by the way. Literally, in 2015, when I was on Neck Island with Rich Branson, Roger's family was there, his wife and his kid. And his kid had just launched something on one of the crowdfunding sites and made $50,000. This guy was 14, and he had made $50,000. That's the difference between involving your families. And, I didn't know how to do it because Roger obviously did it himself for his family. I don't know how to do it for mine. Otherwise, my son is 13. He hasn't made $50,000. But that's why we found Amy, because that's what she helps with. And then my 2026 Global Wealth Blueprint. Write a clear, inspiring paragraph that summarizes your global investment strategy for 2026. And then conclusion, bring your 10x blueprint to life. Again, This is self-explanatory, you can read it, but it's your 10x identity, your subtractions, and your global wealth map. The most important insight, what you have created here is not a dream board. It's not a wish list. It's a blueprint. And blueprints do not execute themselves. 10x growth requires more than intention. It requires environment, accountability, and the right who's. A strategic guide to keep you 10x, you're aligned to your 10x identity, a financial expert to refine and optimize your portfolio each quarter, and a family integration specialist to ensure your household supports your legacy instead of silently resisting it. How many of you have that resistance? When these three elements are in place, the 10x plan becomes inevitable rather than optional. Your next step, as you step into 2026, keep this truth front and center. You do not achieve 10x alone. You achieve it through structure, strategy, and leverage. You now have the clarity, you now have the direction, and you now have the global strategy. The question that remains is, what environment will you choose to support the future you're building? Use this blueprint as your guide throughout the year. Return to it often, refine it as it grows, and commit to the identity, the subtractions, and the strategy that will make 2026 your most transformational year yet. So, ladies and gentlemen, those were the three things. I don't need to go through the slides here because if I just go to the goals, that's the only thing that probably is worthwhile. Is the goal here of the portfolio is to identify your 80% that is holding you back. So back to your portfolio is what's holding you back, and then over here, this is it's your 2026 wealth blueprint. So that's the way I set it up. Was I took all the training, I put it into AI, and I said, help me create a workbook to take the training to create a workbook so that you can review yourself, you can see where you're at, you can build a plan, and you can make a decision in terms of where you're at. And yeah, Jeff, I know the resistance. That's why we got it. In terms of accountability and momentum, my real, I thought we'd have more time today. I'm not going to do this. My real request was that people would actually go and sit with someone. So find an accountability partner, someone who's important, and sit with them and go and actually do that exercise, and then take some time and go, here are my 10x goals for 2026. What must I be subtracting? What am I going to leverage on? Which partners? What am I going to do? And then get review in terms of this process. So that's for me it's about accountability. We don't have time. I'm not going to try to do that now. Unless people want to. I don't mind staying on if people want to do it, but for those who want to duck, I'm going to finish off. And then lastly, in terms of integration, the identity integration is look at your 10x blueprint. You now have clarity, but clarity is worthless without consistency and accountability. So that's all about your identity. So who's going to hold you consistent and accountable? I know who's going to do it for me. It's Jaco Moritz. And Shri, actually, my business coach. In terms of your future pacing, there's two options from here. One is path A. You try hold yourself to account alone in 2026. Most of you have tried that, and it leads to 2x cycles. Or path B, you step into a structure where you and I meet monthly to upgrade your mindset and your investor identity. So like I'm working with Shri and Jaco, if you want me to hold you to account at 10x, then that's what I'm offering for you. And then Anthony reviews your quarterly portfolio with regards to the family office, and Amy ensures your family conversations and legacy actually match your goals. So that's the way we've kind of set it up. Okay, this is what turns 10x visions into 10x results. In terms of the next steps, you've designed your 10x plan today, you implement it, you need your 10x environment. This is exactly what the 12K Club was built for. If your goal is serious around transformation in wealth, identity, and generational impact, then the 12K Club is the container that makes 10x easier than 2x. And the final couple of slides I want to share with you, because people ask me this all the time. What is the difference between the 6K Club at the mastermind level and the 12K Club? The 6K is transactional. So when I do the coaching with you on a monthly basis, it's group coaching. And what that means under transactional is it's short-term, it's increasing performance. So it's about getting results on a task on a monthly basis. It's about increasing performance, it's about behavior, it's about achieving goals, it's about achievement, it's results oriented, and it's obviously I try my best within a short period of time to help people. When we're doing it one-to-one and we've got at least an hour a month, it's transformational. It's longer term, it's increasing personal growth, it's client value and attitude, it's identifying goals for life, it's self-esteem and fulfillment, it's person-orientated, and it's on a much deeper level. So when you take this process and you look at it, you've got the long-term planning. So everyone sits with me one-to-one and we get clear on your outcomes. That for me is really important. But then when we do the midterm, you've got the two options. This is the transactional, which is where we do the group coaching on a monthly basis, where it's done in progress or not started. And then the transformational is where I use a more sophisticated technology. Then at Anthony's level, each of you meet with Anthony or Mark or someone up front, and you all at the 6K level, you go through the wealth EQ, they build you the portfolio, they give you the asset income model, so you basically have your wealth plan in terms of this process. But what the most important thing with this plan is actually implementing and making sure that you're getting the returns. And one of the things I found fascinating from the Know Your Numbers is that at a 6% return, this is just an average person, at a 6% return after inflation, they're running out of money between 85 and 86. At a 7% return, they are, they're fine until they're 99 financially. And at an 8% return, they're leaving their family with $7.5 million. And the question I always have someone is, who's managing your 1%? So why do we check in with Anthony on a quarterly basis? So that he can help you manage your 1%. And then finally with Amy, it's about the family integration. So as a family grows, it faces challenges of maintaining closest trust connection, especially when it comes to managing money, finances, and investing. How can a family ensure financial transparency, shared goals, and a healthy attitude towards wealth that strengthens their bond over time? How does a family address financial stress, past financial mistakes or setbacks, ensuring that past challenges do not define their future prosperity? And most importantly, how can a family create a lasting financial legacy, one that sustains wealth, empowers future generations, and fosters financial literacy for all members? Family 360 empowers individuals and families to reflect on their essential questions. It offers opportunity to assess the family's unique financial profile, providing a deeper understanding of the emotional relationships with money and aligning financial goals and values. By focusing on healthy financial dynamics, Family 360 helps families navigate past trauma, overcome financial adversity, and strengthen their ability to build wealth together. It nurtures strong financial relationships that endure, creating a solid foundation for sustained growth and a legacy of financial empowerment. And that's exactly what Amy does. She's trained in that as a Family 360 certified practitioner, and that's what she helps you with your family. And so, a little bit of a future vision. You and I build out 2026 with your wealth identity and your strategy. You begin the year with me, not in March, not halfway through the year. We start in January by getting absolutely clear on what is your 10X identity. And by the way, for the 12K members, this is what we're going to be doing. What is your 10X identity? What is your direction? What is your strategic focus? Who do you need to subtract? The global opportunities aligned to your goals so that you don't drift into 2026. And my wish for you, whether you want to do it with me personally at the one-to-one level, or you want to just screenshot it and do it for yourself, this is the wish for all of you, is get clear on what is your wealth identity and strategy so that you can hit the ground running with purpose, structure, and alignment. And for the 12K members, this is exactly what we're going to do, each and every one of us in January with me. Then with Anthony, what he will be doing is this is where he'll be looking at the blueprint and making it real. Anthony goes through your allocation, your risk balance, your currencies, your exposure, your income engines, your time horizons, and you start the year with a clean, optimized portfolio instead of trying to catch up in March or April. So again, it's the exact same thing with Anthony with quarterly check-ins. And then finally with Amy, in Q1, she aligns your family system, your conversations, your values, and your legacy. So in this step, most investors actually forget about it. But this is where you 10X your returns. If your family, if your family system stays in 2X, it's not going to change. You have to actually upgrade the whole family into 10X in terms of the process. So because if you stay in 2X, your wealth plan collapses. You've got to get to 10X. So in Q1, Amy will help you with money conversations that are aligned, values clarified, legacy frameworks established, household decision-making upgraded, generational wealth thinking implemented. She also helps you create a rhythm for money conversations. By the end of Q1, your whole wealth ecosystem is aligned. I actually find it quite uncanny, I'm not going to lie, how what we've built and evolved over the years when it comes to the last 3 years with this mastermind, how we've evolved this and how much alignment there is with the 10X principles, and to be honest, with any high-performing principles. So I want you to start 2026 with a full transformation setup. Get your identity right, either with yourself, or if you want to do it with me, then do it with me. Get your portfolio right with Anthony, and get your family system right with Amy. That's my wish for all of you in terms of this process. And that's the only way to hit the ground running in January, to take full advantage of the most important compounding window of the year. And why I put our 3 names there is that you can go and do it yourself. I've shown you how to do it. But the last principle of 10X, which is the most important in my opinion, is who, not how. And that's the who that can help you get the how. So in conclusion, you just built your 2026 10X blueprint. Obviously, when I built these slides, I hoped you would have a bit more time. I didn't think it would take quite so long. You've mapped who you must become, what you must remove, and how you must diversify. Now the question is simple. Do you want to carry this 10X vision alone, or do you want the structure that ensures you execute it? If you want the simplicity, leverage, accountability, and precision that makes 10X inevitable, then the 12K is your next step. And ladies and gentlemen, that's everything. That was a lot of talking. I appreciate that, and I see that a lot of people have had to duck. I do have one thing that we always play, and if I just stop sharing my my screen here, we always do this at the end of every session. So let me just get up the slide here so that I've got it. And I do remind you quickly of the fact that tonight we've got the fireside chat. So we'll talk more about this tonight, obviously a lot more of it, but I will have a beer. It won't be PowerPoints. It'll be having fun. But as you can see, the 10X is something I'm taking very, very seriously. But we always finish every session with, what did you think of the session? So let's have some fun. Think of 1 or 2 words. Get ready to post it. 3, 2, 1, and in the chat, go for it. What did you think of today's session? I'm always interested. It's probably been the one that I might have worked the hardest on ever. But I did it with full intention. And the reason I did it was because I feel so strongly about this. I wanted to know everything about it. I wanted to know what are the main 10X principles from the book that we should be implementing in our lives. I wanted to know what it means when it comes to business. But considering we're all in the wealth space, I wanted to make sure that we walked away with a document that we could use in the wealth space to make the right decisions. So Mike's feeling overwhelmed. Hopefully, Mike, you can watch the recording again. And I've also got all the workbooks. So I'm going to share. I didn't want to do it beforehand because it would confuse people. I'll just brand all the stuff, but then I'll share the recording. I'll share all the workbooks. I'll share the homework. I've done a lot of stuff. Again, when I say I want to be careful of I. I can create so much value now because of AI. I just want to own that. Okay, there's no ways I could have done all this work without using AI. It's impossible. Okay, and certainly the fact that I did it in 72 hours. I started doing this on Sunday afternoon. Okay, so just to put it in perspective. So it is phenomenal what you can achieve with AI. But the one key thing with AI is you need to know what you're asking it as well. You need to go back and you need to be able to ask the right questions. You need to refine stuff. I haven't figured out a way to refine the pictures yet. Still, it irritates me a lot when I see a picture with a spelling mistake on it, but I haven't been able to figure out how to fix it. So yeah, in terms of that process. Okay. I can see there that lots of comments. I just want to see, are there any questions? Thanks for all the kind words, and I agree with you, Mike, in terms of being overwhelmed. I get it. It's a shitload of stuff. It's literally an entire upgrade in terms of 2X thinking to 10X thinking. And I've obviously had 3 months to really evolve myself. I spent a week in Ireland with Paul O'Mahony. Oh, by the way, a little gift from Paul O'Mahony. I should have said it earlier. His philosophy in terms of reading a book is he reads a book, and he's not allowed to read a new book until he's implemented the same book. So he has to listen to the same book as many times as it takes until he implements. So I asked him, because I'm now reading the next book from this book is Who Not How. And Alex is already speaking about The Gap and the Gain, which is another book. And I said to Paul, have you read Who Not How yet? And he said, no. I said, why not? And he said, because he's still implementing The Gap and the Gain. I said, what do you mean? He said, no, he doesn't read another book. And he not only doesn't read it, he has to reread the book over and over again until he implements it. How much is that? It's amazing. I mean, that discipline is phenomenal. I don't do that. Maybe I should. But it's back to what I tried to start off with the rollerblades, Ann Wilson's thing of the rollerblades on octopus on rollerblades and actually implement. Okay. Jan, I'll get back to you with regards to that in terms of the process and what it, how to get involved in terms of the upgrade to the 12K. Look, the poll is open. Otherwise, just message me on WhatsApp or fill it in on the poll, and I'm happy to chat it through with the team in terms of the process. But I just really, from the bottom of my heart, wanted to do my best to share all of the 10X principles with you today, and then to align it with our wealth. I'm gonna stop the recording now.